Now, stop humming this here, everything done changed. That warp tool made you open your brain. Eric Vanek is here, so remember the name. He got the waiver wire for the week. Tell you who to start and who to give a seat. Dropping the podcast every week. You know the knowledge is elite. After the show, we gon' hold a Lombardi. Celebrating like we throwing a party. This the blueprint and I know they gon' copy. Obama intros always go the hardest, cause this is America's game.
What is going on, everybody? Well, welcome back to America's Game, episode number 16. I am your host, Eric Vanek. You can follow me on Twitter at Eric Vanek NFL. Follow the show also at America's Game Pod. And once again, I am joined by my co-host, Mike from 4D Chess. What's going on, Mike?
What's happening, everybody? Hey, what's going on, Eric? How you doing today, buddy?
Oh, I'm great. Deshaun Watson decided to get surgery and end my Brown season. It was great. Fantastic day.
On a plus note, you're used to this, though, right? Like,
yeah, disappointment.
Expectations are always low, right?
Yeah. Browns can never have nice things. Like, ever since they've come back in '99, nope, nothing for you.
Adam got so excited. I remember doing a show with him when we found out Deshaun Watson was getting traded. He's like, "We finally got a quarterback." Now you fast forward to now, and it's just kind of been a shit show for you guys. I almost feel bad at this point. You know, I do feel bad for you guys. Giants fans, fuck you. I don't like you. Cowboys, same thing. Washington, you're in the same boat. You're a joke of a franchise. And anybody who's a Patriots fan, like, I just hope all the bad things happen to you and you alone.
I hope all the bad things happen to you and nothing but you.
Yes.
What a good Chappelle show skit. But no, it sucks, man, with Watson going out. That's pretty much ends the Browns are, I think, the 6th seed right now. That'll end abruptly here, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, they're going to go with Dorian Thompson-Robinson for the rest of the year, which is fine. I would rather see him than P.J. Walker. So hopefully the kid can maybe pull out a few wins. I mean, the defense is still really good. The offensive line is really beat up right now, but they're still solid. Running game's been good. Passing game might take a hit with, DTR being in there, but they still got a shot. I mean, we'll see what happens. The easier part of their schedule is coming up the rest of the year. So they're playing the Steelers this week. The Steelers fucking blow too. We can talk about that probably here today with our topic, but they play them this week, so hopefully we get on them. That'd be nice.
It's going to be interesting, right, for them because they were in the playoff hunt. It was looking real bad for some teams like Cincinnati getting back in the mix. The Bills, we just watched them blow one on Monday night. You're like, oh, can they actually? There's a lot of really strong teams. Well, just knock one off now. Now all of a sudden it looks a little bit rosier for those teams. So good for those fan bases, I guess. Now they have a little bit of extra hope here about actually making the playoffs and not missing them. So
right.
We'll see how that goes, right? Jesus, even the Denver Broncos are in the playoff mix now.
Yeah, like I was looking at it earlier, it's like half the AFC's in it.
Yeah.
Like as long as you're not the Colts or Titans, you're good.
Even the Colts, right? 5-5.
Are they 5-5? Okay.
And they're 5-5.
Patriots, then.
Patriots and Titans. That's it.
Yeah.
2 and 3 win teams, respectively. You guys are done.
Yeah. You got to think, too, man, that AFC wildcard battle is going to be insane because Cincinnati's got to claw back if they want to be in it. Buffalo 5-5. Miami's been hot all year long. I assume that's going to keep going. We'll see what happens there, man. It could be really interesting here coming up for the playoffs. See who's going to make it, who's not.
Yeah, well, it's going to have a lot of tight races. Going to impact a lot of draft capital too, right? The Texans they're excited.
Yeah,
about Deshaun Watson, right?
They might. Yeah. They could make a playoff run.
I hope you guys lose every game for the rest of the year. Let us get a really good pick.
Right, and then I was thinking also about what if Aaron Rodgers does come back. The Jets lost a brutal one on Sunday night. They needed that one, but even if they keep playing here and start winning a couple games, I know they play. They got some tough games coming up. I think they have both Miami games still to come up here the next 4 month or so. If they can beat Miami, man, that would be nice, but it's going to be uphill for them for sure. Hopefully Aaron Rodgers can come back, though. That'd be nice.
It'd be amazing if he does. Be amazing if he does this year.
I mean, it was crazy how fast Cam Akers came back from. He played the last 2 weeks and then the playoffs. He wasn't that great, but even that was a miraculous recovery. So we'll see what happens there, man.
I think it might be more plausible too with a quarterback than it would a running back. Now the age was very different.
Right.
One is young and still young, and the other one is ancient.
Yeah.
But he looks good when he's out on the field, just chucking 50-yard bombs.
I know.
Shouldn't you still be on crutches?
Yeah, it makes me just man, I wish this guy could get back out there because I really wanted to watch the Jets this year, and they've had every primetime game, it seems like, too. Hopefully next year we'll get a full Aaron Rodgers with a full Garrett Wilson, because even Garrett Wilson, man, God, he's so damn good. Just even with Zach Wilson throwing him the ball, he's got to be a top 5 receiver for me.
I think the only thing we can be thankful for is the fact that it keeps Randall Cobb off the field. There's no reason for Randall Cobb to be active on game day without Aaron Rodgers. So thankful for that. We don't have to worry about that part.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a couple of guys step up. That Xavier Gibson stepped up, so that was nice. I like seeing that.
Yep.
All right, so that's kind of it for the news. Not too many other big injuries this week, thank goodness, even though Watson's out for the year. That is a big one. Nothing else really too crazy on the injury front. Am I missing any?
No, not really. Kind of good for our fantasy teams. It sounds like we're going to get a few guys back that we've been waiting on. So at least this week we get a little positive news, even though some people, including Browns fans, just got kicked in the balls today.
Right.
Some other fantasy managers out there are pretty excited about the possibilities of Fields being back, Justin Jefferson, etc. So
yeah, Jefferson, a chain should be back this week. Kyron's back next week. I thought it was this week, but it's next week for Kyron. Yeah, that's about it. Michael Thomas, blah.
Yeah.
If Alex Madison misses this week, I'm interested to see Ty Chandler start for Minnesota. I think that's going to be a good one. T. Higgins hurt again. Shocker. He's not playing on Thursday.
He's just he's resting up for when he's Bryce Young's number 1 wide receiver next year. So,
woof. That would be bad. All right. Anyways, let's get into our topic today. So, kind of what I was thinking about on this one was a crystal ball episode. So what that is we want to kind of look over every single team in the league right now. We're going to probably just do the AFC today. We'll do NFC next week. And we want to look at their coaching situation, their GM situation, and then look at quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, and kind of predict ahead on, some of these guys, are they going to be guys that we want to keep? Are they guys maybe we want to move now and get ahead of it? Some of these guys might get replaced. Some of these guys might have a free agent come in. Some of these guys might have someone get drafted to the team that replaces them. So we kind of want to just kind of talk through each situation and kind of look in our crystal ball here, look down the road, and that'll help us with some trades going forward too. If I know, let's just say, right now with the Raiders, I'll use that as the example. Aiden O'Connell is the starting quarterback right now, but hey, the coach and the GM just got fired. Yeah, Antonio Pierce has won 2 games right now. No guarantee he's going to be the head coach next year for them. With a new GM coming in, new GM probably is going to want their own guy. But if, Mark Davis steps in and says, hey, no, Antonio Pierce is my guy, and then the GM comes in, Aiden O'Connell still isn't that GM's guy. So that GM is going to eventually want a new quarterback. Is it next year? It kind of depends on how Aiden O'Connell plays the rest of the year as well. So kind of looking at those kind of situations, if you think Aiden O'Connell is not the answer for the Raiders for the future, then maybe you want to just look to move off of him right now before next year when he's a backup again and isn't really worth as much as he could be right now. Right now, Superflex League, you might be able to fetch a second-round pick for Aiden O'Connell since he's starting the rest of the year most likely. So just kind of an example of what we're going to go through. So AFC. So we're going to start AFC East. We'll start with the New York Jets first. One of my favorite teams. We'll start with the coach and GM. I think coach and GM are still going to be pretty much locked in there. Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas are going to be locked in there for the Jets. I don't see that changing. I think a lot of the stuff that's happened this year is pretty much out of their control with all these injuries. They didn't project Aaron Rodgers to get hurt on the 4th play of the season and out for the year, basically. So I think those guys are pretty safe. You agree with me?
Yeah, both those guys are safe.
Okay.
They built an incredible defense over there. It's just they're a quarterback away right now from being competent on offense to match the defense. So I think they get another year for sure.
Right. And then, kind of just looking at their quarterback situation right now, obviously they got Aaron Rodgers under contract for them. You're going to have Zach Wilson there probably as the backup again next year. I mean, him and Aaron Rodgers pretty much had, pretty good chemistry together. So I don't see that really changing too much there. You agree with those guys, kind of Rodgers and Wilson probably be back again next year?
Yeah, I could also see a scenario too, depending on how it plays out as far as draft picks go. They're good. Right now, they have a pretty high draft pick. They'd be picking 12th if the season were to end today. We'll see how that kind of shakes out. That's also not a bad spot for them to also think about. Yes, we do have Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, but let's draft a rookie. Let's draft that guy that's going to sit under Rodgers for a year, learn from him, and we'll move on from Zach Wilson and set up the succession plan.
Yeah, I think if the right guy fell to them, I just don't know. I don't think it would. I guess they could go in the second or third round, but I honestly think if they're going with Rodgers next year, I don't think they can afford to use a luxury pick, I would say, on a quarterback. They're going to want to load up for Aaron Rodgers, get that offensive line just 100% better. Obviously, they've had a couple injuries there this year too. They're going to need to get that offensive line situated. So I think they could look there. They could look for another wide receiver opposite of Garrett Wilson. I know they got Allen Lazard. They signed him to a big deal, but maybe they could find a nice slot receiver. I know Xavier Gibson has come on and done really well for them, but I could see them, if they can get a slot receiver, one of those top guys in the draft, I think that could be another spot they could look at, like an Emeka Egbuka in the slot. Whew, I'd love that.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Also, being able to use Malik Neighbors in there in the slot too would be a benefit too. Yep.
So, there's a couple guys. Xavier Worthy's kind of smaller. He could be a guy that they could use in the slot too.
Yeah, that guy can't catch for shit though.
Yeah. Well, when Aaron Rodgers throws you the ball, you might be able to.
You better catch it.
Yeah.
You never get the ball ever again.
Right. All right. So we're pretty good on the quarterbacks there. Running backs though. So I think obviously Breece Hall is going to be locked in there. He's the guy. If I'm going to go trade for a running back in a league, that's one of the top guys that's going to be on my list. Dalvin Cook will be out of there. He's a free agent at the end of the year. They made an interesting move yesterday, and they cut Michael Carter. I was a little bit surprised by that. I don't know if they're going to try and maybe get him back to the practice squad or not. I don't know if you've seen anything on that yet.
I haven't seen anything. It was a surprising move, so I wonder if maybe something happened before that team meeting that they were also talking about. Maybe there's a little animosity in the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something about that too. I mean, we really don't know, but yeah, Michael Carter was one of the leaders of that team, especially in the running back room. All those guys, if you watch the Hard Knocks and stuff, the guys looked up to him quite a bit. So it was a very interesting happening yesterday for them. And then I think it's another reason they wanted to do it was to get Izzy Abanikanda the ball a little bit here, see what he's got. I mean, there's no reason to give Dalvin Cook the ball anymore, honestly. So let's get Izzy out there. Maybe he breaks off some good runs here in the second half. I'd love to see that. But I think they're pretty good at the running back spot. They're probably going to add another guy or two in the offseason. Maybe they draft a guy late, bring in another undrafted free agent. That's kind of what I'm seeing with the running back situation. Wide receivers, Garrett Wilson's one of the best in the league. Allen Lazard just signed that big 4-year contract with them last year, so he's going to be there. Randall Cobb's a free agent at the end of the year. He'll probably be gone. I don't see them bringing him back. And then, obviously, Gibson and Jason Brownlee, two of the younger guys that they got undrafted this year. But they could definitely use another receiver this offseason. I'm kind of try to look here at some free agent wide receivers and see how it is.
There's some that really fit. There's some that fit.
Right. They want to go after a Mike Evans. That could be nice. Get that veteran receiver. There's a couple nice slot receivers. You can get a Curtis Samuel, a Tyler Boyd. Those guys would be nice in the little slot position there for them. I don't think they'll be bringing back a Mecole Hardman. Braxton Berrios, I still really like him, even though he hasn't popped the way I thought he would. But yeah, there's a couple receivers out here that could that could really do it. I see Calvin Ridley's on here, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr. Yeah, there's some big names out here that could really help them. I really like Michael Pittman. That could be a good one.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. He's going back.
Yeah,
We'll get to
I don't see Indy giving him up. But yeah, that's a couple interesting names there for sure. And then the tight end spot with them, I think they pretty much have locked onto these, tight ends that they've had for a while. With Conklin, Uzama, they drafted Ruckert. Kenny Uboa they've kept around too. So, but I think Tyler Conklin's been pretty good this year. I've had to start him in a few leagues.
Yeah.
I've been more than fine with Tyler Conklin.
And they got Kuntz, right? They spent a draft pick on him too. So I think they're kind of set up at the tight end spot with Conklin's playing well, and then we'll just work these young guys in and see what we get. Yeah,
they could look at a tight end or so if they needed to, but yeah, nothing too concerning there at the tight end spot. So I think overall this is a pretty good team going into next year that I'm pretty excited about. Next team up we'll talk about will be Buffalo. So obviously Buffalo with Josh Allen being the quarterback there, that's locked in. That ain't changing. They could look to upgrade the backup position there, but nothing too much there. I don't see the coach and GM getting fired. I think those guys will stay. They did replace the offensive coordinator this week, so we'll see how that turns out. They could have a new offensive coordinator next year. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Looking at the running back spot now. So this is the one that's interesting to me. So they got, right now, James Cook, obviously. Damian Harris is a free agent. Latavius Murray, free agent. Ty Johnson, free agent. Leonard Fournette, who hasn't played yet, free agents. So James Cook is right now currently the only running back that they would have on the roster for next year. Is there anybody, on that running back spot that you think could come in and maybe, make an impact for them? Do you think James Cook is it?
James Cook's going to be the dude. They got to go bargain bin shopping. They're right now projected to be $29 million in the red for salary cap for next year too. Woof. So there's going to be a lot of restructuring going on. Josh Allen's contract kicks in, so it's going to be rough sledding for them as far as a luxury position like that. As much as people hate James Cook, sorry, it's going to be more Latavius Murray, like bargain bin garbage shopping as his competition. So,
right. Do you think that they could be looking in the draft again for a running back and use their first, second round pick on a running back?
I don't know. It seems just like a massive luxury for them. They got a lot of spots to shore up. The defense is kind of taking a hit. Some of their studs that they paid for defense have had brutal injuries here in the last couple of years, right? Von Miller going down. Tre'Davious White tearing his Achilles, Matt Milano out for the season. I think they're probably looking at the defensive side of ball again, trying to shore that back up or backfill it, and it really fits with what McDermott wants to do. Build that team through the defense and just, here you go, Josh Allen, make us something good to eat on offense.
Right.
Do your best.
If they could shed some of that salary like you're talking about, there is some really interesting running backs out there. So Derrick Henry's out there. Josh Jacobs is a free agent. Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler. They're not bringing back Devin Singletary. DeAndre Swift is a free agent as well. So, man, there's some big names out there like DeAndre Swift in that offense. I would really love to see that. I think that would be a good one. I know you as an Eagles fan wouldn't like to see that.
But... No, that won't happen. Don't speak that into existence.
Yeah, I mean, they could even take a shot at Austin Eckler. Even Josh Jacobs, I think, would be a good fit there, too. Obviously, I think they tried to trade for Saquon last year, so they're interested in Saquon. That could be another fit as well.
It's gonna be interesting and tough in seeing how they do it. I know the restructure thing is a possibility, but they just gave a bunch of contracts. Like they paid a lot of money this past season, locking guys up. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Von Miller, Tre'Davious White. Like even if you got to pretty much restructure these guys because we just think, oh, you can cut this guy and then you have a little bit of cap savings, right? You're going to eat some dead cap, but you have some cap savings. One of the weirdest ones, if you ever go look at over the cap and just look at how many guys are in the red on pre-June 1st cuts for 2024, like they don't save any money. It actually hurts them even more if they get rid of this guy or trade him. So It's going to be interesting to see how they decide to finagle this and work it so they're a little bit flexible. But as of right now, if I had to project it or get my crystal ball out, like James Cook's the dude. Receivers are probably going to stay the same way. And then you're really just banking on a draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think James Cook, regardless, is going to be there just because he's under the rookie deal. Like, they're obviously not going to cut him. So James Cook's going to be a part of it. I just don't know if they're going to bring in, another veteran running back to be his running mate. Is James Cook going to be able to handle a 300-touch workload? I don't know. We'll have to see. Wide receivers, though, I think this one is interesting. So, obviously, Stephon Diggs is there. He just signed a new contract. Gabe Davis is a free agent at the end of the season, so he's going to want some, with the way these wide receivers are getting money nowadays, he's going to be in the double digits, millions for, per year. So are they going to be able to afford to keep him? Khalil Shakir, still a rookie, got a good deal. Deontay Hardy, they signed for 2 years, so he'll be there. Trent Sherfield's on a 1-year deal. I think the one that I want to talk about, though, is Diggs. Like, there's always been this stuff, like last offseason with Diggs, that he wanted out. Everything was fine. Now, after this week's game, that he's telling Denver to come get him and stuff like that. Do you think Stephon Diggs is somebody that they could trade to get out of this cap hell?
Until I see it, I won't believe it, right? Because it feels like every year for the past, I don't know, half a decade. Stephon Diggs has hated Buffalo and wants out, and till I actually see it, and then you'll get a story here in probably like 2 months about how Diggs and Josh Allen are best friends, and they do everything together, and they love each other, and yada yada yada. So there's a possibility, Eric. Right? We see this shit all the time, but also until I'm not gonna get fooled 17 more times. All right. Just because Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills, like that's where it's gonna stay for me.
I think Diggs or Josh Allen needs to take a play out of the Stafford playbook and start having breakfast with Diggs.
That's the thing, right? Like, just have some breakfast. I mean, you guys travel on the road, too. There's probably some nice hotels you stay in with a real nice continental breakfast. You can share some really shitty omelets together or something.
Yeah, get a bagel.
Yeah, why not?
For sure.
Some way overcooked bacon. It's basically sawdust.
Sounds yummy. Okay, so we'll see what happens there with Diggs. If I had to prick, I think he's gonna stay there another year. I don't know if they're gonna be able to move that kind of money, especially.
I love to how subconsciously too, you meant to say pick, and it came out prick because we're talking about Stephon Diggs. It's just like it fits, Eric.
Whoops. What about Gabe Davis, though? Do you think he's going to be back with this team? Do you think they're going to be able to afford it? Or you think he's going to leave? You think he's a goner?
I think somebody offers him, one of those 10 million plus, weird contracts where we go, how the hell did this guy get this kind of deal, right? When Christian Kirk signed with the Jags, we're like, you like that? Michael Gallup, same kind of thing. I think some team's going to go out and pay Gabe Davis way too much, where Buffalo just can't match it. He's gone.
Yeah, and I think I've always been a big Gabe Davis fan as well. I don't know, like, he's gonna not work on certain teams.
Right.
Like, if he ends up going to the Titans, let's say.
Woof.
Yeah, Will Levis has a good arm, but it's not like, Josh Allen hasn't really been accurate either, but I just don't know if that's going to fit. Like, there's just certain teams, like Atlanta. There's another one. Like, I don't know if that's going to work. So
I think some team's going to fool themselves into paying him like a number one type
like
wide
12,
receiver.
15 mil a year. Yeah.
Yes, and that's going to be a mistake.
Yeah, I think so too. Looking at the tight end spot, obviously they have Dawson Knox. They just signed him to a new deal. Dalton Kincaid just drafted him. Those two are locked in, and the backup tight ends I could care less. So I think they're pretty locked in with their tight end spot.
Right. If you're a big fan of like Reggie Gillum, probably still be in the same spot. Quentin Morris.
Oh yeah,
there's your deep dive tight ends right there.
Right, pretty much. I'm not really too interested in those guys.
No.
Let's look at Miami. So obviously quarterback Tua is still there. His contract is going to expire in 2025 after they pick up his, I think they already picked up or going to next year, pick up his 5th-year option. But, Herbert's already got a new deal. Burrow's got a new deal. It's going to be time for Tua to get a new deal as well. So that's going to have to happen this offseason, I would assume.
Yeah, definitely happening.
Yeah, Mike White, he will still be with the team. He signed a 2-year deal. Skylar Thompson's still on his rookie deal. So I think these three rookies three quarterbacks are pretty much in lockstep here. They're going to be fine. Coach and GM are fine. Obviously, this team is doing really good. I forgot to mention that. Running back situation, though. So obviously, Devin Achane will be there. Raheem Mostert did sign a 2-year deal for $5.6 million, which is like a bargain right now for the way he's been playing. He'll be back next year. Jeff Wilson, he's got a 2-year deal as well, 2 years, $6 million. So he actually got paid a little bit more than Mostert did. Ahmed's a free agent at the end of the year. I think this running back room's probably going to stay the same, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think it stays the same. We'll see if Ahmed kind of just becomes that odd guy out, and they finally just move on and let him go, and don't make too much of an effort to re-sign him. It was interesting last year. I think a lot of people were surprised when they brought Mostert back, they brought Wilson back, they brought Ahmed back, they brought Myles Gaskin back, and we're like, holy shit, what are we doing?
Yeah, and then drafted Achane.
And then you see it kind of work itself out in the preseason, and we see Achane really have a role. Mostert will be interesting too. This is another team that's kind of in salary cap hell. And you mentioned at the jump, right? You got a Tua deal that you're going to have to get done. So kind of how they finagle that and work it out. So I wouldn't be shocked. I haven't looked at the Mostert contract, but I imagine they probably do have an out for getting out of him, getting out of Jeff Wilson, and it might just be Achane and then somebody else that they bring in that McDaniel thinks can fit that system or that mold. Probably like a fucking Matt Breida just to kill us all.
Jesus, please no.
It's going to happen, Eric. Just wait. Dude, we'll look back at America's game here this time next year and be like, see, we told you Matt Breida's coming to Miami. He's going to have the Raheem Mostert role. I'm
interested to see how much Tua gets paid, too. I mean, the amount these guys have been getting paid nowadays, I think he makes it over 200 mil, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he's, we always talk about they reset the market every single time.
Yeah, right? I don't think he's
going to I don't think he's in there, but it's going to be interesting to see where he slots in, right? Between Herbert, the Burrow deal, Jalen Hurts, like kind of where he fits in that. If he's on par with some of those deals or he comes in just below, but it's going to be a lot. It's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm him, they offer me 250 mil, I'll just sign it right now. I'll just take it.
Yep, I'm with you. Take your money because you also are one like head injury away from us going. You may never play again.
Right, exactly. All right, wide receiver spot now for them. So obviously Tyreek Hill, his new contract doesn't expire till 2027, so he'll be there. Jalen Waddle, this is his third season right now. He's gonna probably want a new deal as well, but they're gonna have to pick up his 5th-year option coming up. Cedric Wilson's still there. He's a free agent at the end of the year. Chase Claypool, who hasn't done anything yet, free agent at the end of the year. Braxton Berrios, he's a free agent at the end of the year. Robbie Anderson, River Craycraft, all those guys are free agents at the end of the year. I just don't think there are much changes here. It's Tyreek, it's Waddle, and I don't really care about anybody else because they just don't use anybody else.
Right. I think there's a possibility maybe they bring in somebody else, like one of these cheaper ones. You kind of talked about like the slot receivers. There's a lot of guys who are going to be free agents who've kind of been filling that role. So there's going to be options out there. It'll be interesting to see if we get like maybe we get a little Tyler Boyd action in Miami, which would be fun, right? He might have a little bit of a prominent role.
I'm looking at guys that are really, really fast. So obviously, I mentioned him earlier, McCole Hardman. That could be one. How about this one? Hollywood Brown.
They'd have to pay him a lot. They'd have to pay him
a lot, but fuck. You imagine those three out there, Waddle, Tyreek, and Hollywood. Whew.
I could take it.
I could see it happening. Like I can see it in my head. So that would be really interesting.
And we'll probably end up with a fucking Ray McLeod instead.
Yeah, Ray McLeod. They'll try and drag LaVisca Chenault's body off of there. Isaiah McKenzie, somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go right back and
Jalen Guyton.
We'll finally make Trent Taylor a thing.
Yeah, something. Yeah, so those are some interesting receivers there. Tight ends, this is one spot I don't care about for them. Unless they get like Brock Bowers, I really don't care because they just don't use the tight end. Durham Smythe and Julian Hill are the only 2 tight ends on the roster right now.
They will probably sign a name that has been
Smythe is signed
relevant.
till 2026, so he'll still be there.
They might sign a name for dirt cheap that's been fantasy relevant at some point, and watch for that guy get pushed up way too fucking high.
Yeah, let's take a look and see who is available at the tight end spot. Like Hunter Henry, Dalton Schultz. I could see Gerald Everett. Mike Gesicki, can they bring him back? No thanks.
Austin Hooper, right?
Yeah.
There it
Robert
is there.
Tonyan, I could see him having a big year. How about Irv Smith? I could see him finally having his resurgence.
That would be the one right there, right?
Yeah.
Like Irv Smith signs in Miami for dirt cheap, and all of a sudden somebody in the fantasy community starts pushing him without realizing the fact they don't use the fucking tight end, so he's just going to be a dead weight asset there anyways.
Right, exactly.
I mean, the guy can't even be relevant in Cincinnati with Joe fucking Burrow. Like,
Yeah, like Tanner Hudson, who they signed off the street, is more relevant.
I'm glad you put me on to Tanner Hudson early,
Okay.
right? And if you're not listening to the waiver wire show every week, what the fuck are you doing?
I thank Scott Connor for that because Scott's the one who put me onto that. So I thank him for
little
that.
Tanner Hudson action. Let's go.
Yes. All right. Now on to New England. So this one is interesting. Quarterback and GM. So obviously, or quarterback, coach and GM. Bill Belichick could be on the outs next year. Could he be traded to Washington? We've heard. Could he get traded to another spot? Could they just end up, firing him and bringing in somebody else? Or who's the Jared Mayo? They could put him as the head coach finally. That they've kind of been grooming for a couple of years. What's your thoughts on the whole Belichick situation?
It's hard to imagine a world where the Patriots are coached by anybody but Bill Belichick, and it's kind of hard to see that after a couple down years, after you've just went on the run that you have with Tom Brady and winning all those titles, that you'd be on the out. But the more and more I hear the rumblings on Eric, I think it's 50-50 right now. Like, I could see either scenario where he really could be gone. And maybe he really does want to change, too, right? You ever been kind of at a job you fucking hate and you just give up
every
after
single
a
day
while?
of my life?
When you just give up after a while, you're like, I don't give a shit.
Yep. I'm done doing anything nice for the company. They don't do shit for me. So yeah, I'm in the same boat every single day, Mike. Thank you.
I can definitely see where the Washington thing does come true, right? Ron Rivera, we'll get to that when we do the second part, but his ass is gone.
Right.
See ya. Please,
Yeah.
thank God.
Yeah, I could see that happening for sure. And those new owners are going to want to make a splash for Washington, so that would be their way to do it.
Bill Belichick to Washington. Here we go.
Yeah, and then let's just assume we'll do both scenarios. If they keep Belichick or move on from Belichick, what are our thoughts on the quarterback situation here? Obviously, with Mac Jones, he's been benched like 6 times this year.
And they keep
Bailey
going back to
Zappi,
him.
yeah, keep going back to him. Bailey Zappi comes in, he doesn't do much better, if anything.
Right.
But Mac Jones has got rookie contract for a couple more years. Do you think if they, if Bill stays, do you think that Mac is still the guy? And if they move on from Bill, does the new regime move on from Mac?
I think it's best case for everybody just to move on from Mac Jones. I'm a big Mac Jones guy, but for Mac's benefit, for the Patriots' benefit, like, this is becoming unrepairable. So just cut your ties. They're going to have a high draft pick, a really high draft pick. You and I were talking about it too, where you said about the Giants a couple weeks ago, right? And I'm like, well, the Patriots suck too, and they still suck. They still suck.
Yeah,
so.
but you know how they are for Belichick. That defense will win them a game or two they shouldn't win.
You
Like
think?
they beat Buffalo, like wasn't it a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. Well, we also just watched Buffalo blow a game to the Broncos, so I have
They
no
could
idea
definitely
who's good
beat.
anymore.
Yeah, they could definitely beat the Jets again. I'm sure they probably got a game against Cleveland coming up. They can beat that one too. We'll see what happens there. I mean, but they could definitely be in the Drake May conversation, Caleb conversation for sure. I think if they're picking in the top 2 or 3, they're definitely going to be going that way. For the new GM, for sure. Where would Mac Jones end up? I mean, I just don't. Do you think he goes to San Fran to be a backup? I don't see that.
If he goes to San Fran, it's to be the starter.
You think he goes over Purdy, huh?
Yeah, well, if he's going to San Fran, it's because San Fran also needs a quarterback. You know what I mean? And if you need a quarterback,
Right.
Brock Purdy's done.
Right. Okay. I'm just kind of curious to see what's going to happen there. This is the one of the situations that when I was thinking about doing this episode of, I really don't know which way it's going to go.
Best case scenario for us, he ends up in like Atlanta, and you that kind of just distribute the ball to the playmakers, hand the ball off to Bijan, and I know I throw to Kyle Pitts, and I know I throw to Drake London, and everybody else can get bent. That would be awesome for us.
Right. Very, very interesting situation. That's one we're going to monitor. Running back situation. So Ezekiel Elliott will be a free agent at the end of the year. Ramondre has one more year on his rookie contract. He's going to probably be in a situation. I don't know to say he's going to hold out, but he could want more money, and that would throw me off of Ramondre if he's not. If he misses like half of camp with a contract situation. That's really the only two running backs they got. What are your thoughts on Ramondre?
If they're making regime changes, I wouldn't trust any of them. Right? We know Zeke is gone because of the free agency thing, but Ramondre would be not too far behind as just being another dude they could easily replace.
So in terms of Ramondre right now, does that mean you want to move him right now in your leagues?
Oh, yeah, he definitely falls in that category of running backs where I don't look anything past 2023, right?
Okay.
If you're banking on this guy for 2024, that's a foolish errand, right?
Okay. Yeah, so, if you're a team that's middle of the road right now or bottom and...
Gone.
It's probably good to send Ramondre off. Do you think you could get a contenders 111, 112, 110, somewhere in that range?
Possibly, but he's also just kind of pissed away and bled value most of this year, right?
Right, and he's on a bye this week, so that doesn't help either.
Right. I think you set the bottom big price of any second, and you pray you can get more.
See, I don't know if I want to do any second, because if the contender comes to me and offers us 211, I'd rather have Ramondre.
These running backs, too, we've seen them just go in the shitter so fast, I would just take
That is true, too. Yeah, that could be one of my blind spots where I'm looking at it like, 211, fuck that.
Right. I think I'd rather just re-roll into another running back in 24 class, right, for the
Okay.
211, who could have a role.
Yeah, maybe if you can get a second and another running back, and you get a second and Jalen Warren or something like that. I don't know.
That would just entirely depend on what I'm doing with my team. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I'm in the bottom half anyways, I don't want any.
Yeah, and if you're doing
running backs
potential
back.
points, you don't want a running back.
I don't want them. I don't want you keep the running backs. You keep all the shitty running backs, and you have fun with figuring out which one's going to have a role in 24. And I'll just take the draft pick.
All right.
I can see if you're kind of trying to thread that needle, middle of the road. I think Jalen Warren's too much of an ask, like with all the stupid hype about him right now. But just get a body at running back in a second, and you can have my Ramondre. It's not like he's been a difference maker for you. If you look at WARP, you look at anything with it, he's kind of a middling replaceable asset right now.
Okay. All right. So now on to the shittiest part of this roster, the wide receiver room.
Oh my God.
Holy shit! I honestly
Nuke 'em.
don't. I think I want Demario Douglas, and that's about it.
There you go. Demario Douglas, and that's about it.
Juju, he signed a 3-year contract with them. They got to deal with this shit for 2 more years.
Unfortunately.
Kendrick Bourne's a free agent, obviously coming off of the ACL. Maybe they could re-sign him cheap, but he's a 28-year-old going to be on 29, coming off an ACL. Not ideal. Devontae Parker. It says the contract expires in 2027, but I don't think that's right because it's only a 2-year, $10.8 million deal. So I think that's wrong. He sucks anyways.
Well, they just re-upped him, didn't they?
Yeah, I thought so. So maybe this isn't right, and maybe it is 2020. If it is, holy shit.
Because it was right before he sucked.
Yeah.
He didn't play, and they re-upped him.
Which is
and
like,
going, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, which is like literally all season. Tyquan Thornton is garbage. Like, that was just a wasted second-round pick, like I said it was when they drafted him. Kayshon Boutte, terrible. Like, I get it. They took the shot on the talent, but he hasn't done a thing. Jalen Reagor, they signed off the streets. They already moved him back down the list after 2 weeks. They were kind of done with him. Yeah, I mean, this wide receiver room is wide open. If they keep... let's say they get the 3rd overall pick, right? Do you think hammer Marvin Harrison Jr. to New England at pick 3?
That would be interesting too if they were to keep Mac Jones, right? Mac Jones with Marv. None of these wide receivers feel safe at all.
No.
I wouldn't count on a single one of them outside of maybe Demario Douglas still being in New England next year. I know they just re-signed Devontae Parker. They gave Juju the contract, but you're also talking about the team with, the second most cap space, $92 million in cap space. So if they really just wanted to go, hey, we're going to rip the Band-Aid off, they cut these guys and eat the dead money next year in 2024. It's a perfect time to do it. You reload with Marv. Maybe you go get a T. Higgins or one of these big-ticket free agent wide receivers to pair with Marv, and all of a sudden, holy shit, now Mac Jones looks like a godsend and people will be running back. Now, don't count that, right? This is a scary-ass situation with Mac Jones, but as far as the wide receivers for the Patriots, none of them.
Right.
None of them.
And then another interesting one that I was just looking at here, the tight ends. All 3 of them are free agents. They don't have a tight end on the roster for next year currently.
Boom.
So Hunter Henry, Gesicki, Farrell Brown, all free agents at the end of the year. Could they re-sign one of these guys? Sure. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be paying Hunter Henry what they did. I don't think they've. Gesicki was cheap, 1 year, $4.5 million. I think Gesicki's probably going to want to try for a little more, but he hasn't really earned it either. But I could see them bringing him back. Yeah, this team is this is a big mess. This is like pre-2000s kind of mess when they were pretty shitty there for a while.
They do have the ability to, they traded for J.C. Jackson, but next year they can cut him and save $14 million just on and suffer no dead cap whatsoever by getting rid of his ass.
I would just pack his bags now. Fuck it.
Done.
He's gone.
They can get rid of Godshaw. They can get rid of Judon. They can pretty much just hit the reset on this roster. So if Belichick is gone, if, we talk about coach and GM, it doesn't really matter who the GM is there. We know it's Bill Belichick. So if those guys are gone and a new regime is coming in, I say they clean house, right? They're in a perfect spot. They're going to have a high draft pick. They have $1 billion in cap room. Like, this would be a great spot. We know Robert Kraft and him as an owner. This would be awesome if you're a new GM looking for a potential job and a new head coach, because you basically get to mold this into exactly whatever the hell you want from the get-go without the dead weight of everything beforehand. So at least if Bill's gone, he set this up perfectly for a successor.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you going to do with Mac Jones, though, right now? Are you going to hold him and because we still like him, or do you want to move off of him?
I mean, what are you getting for him?
I mean, you're probably in the 2nd round range right now.
And that's the best case scenario. Like, he's not fetching too much more than what a Zach Wilson's going for, and that's disgusting, Ugh.
Okay.
I think, to be completely honest, if you were talking about a guy that you wanted to say who's more secure going into 24, trying to project it, Mac Jones or Josh Dobbs, you would say Josh Dobbs right now.
Yeah, I don't know if Dobbs would be the starter for Minnesota, but it wouldn't surprise me either because they've won too many games to where they're not going to be picking in the top, 10 of the draft. So I could see it, if Dobbs continues to win like this, I wouldn't be shocked if they gave him like a 1 or 2 year deal, see what he's got. I could see that.
Who's safer for a starting job in 24, Mac Jones or Baker Mayfield?
Well, Baker's a free agent too, so that's interesting. Yeah, I would say Baker has probably earned that job more than Mac has.
And this is where we're at with Mac Jones, and we can throw the youth down the fucking toilet, right? Like,
yeah, I've been a big Mac fan. Like his rookie season,
Me too.
he was very efficient, very accurate with the ball, and just since they screwed him in year 2 with no real offensive coordinator, he's just like completely lost now. It seems like it's really bad.
I think if somebody gave me 2 seconds for Mac Jones, I would consider it strongly, or a second and another one of these quarterbacks kind of in that range who could have a job, and I just take the leverage of it. But if I'm not getting that and somebody's like, I just give you a single second, fuck you, I'll hold Mac Jones and I'll ride it out, and I think he's good, and maybe somebody will give him a job somewhere next year if he is gone from New England.
I kind of like your idea of what if you went to the Josh Dobbs owner and just offered Mac for Dobbs straight up.
It's going to be tough because Josh Dobbs is on a lot of contenders, and he's been carrying people in their Superflex spot or in these best ball leagues. He's been a wonderful surprise, so it's going to be a tough deal to get done. Even straight up, people would probably tell you to fuck off, to be completely honest.
Yeah. I mean, I fall into this trap every single season, to be honest, with these quarterbacks. I'm like, it's Josh Dobbs. I've seen him play. He sucks. I didn't pick him up really anywhere. And now I'm like kicking myself because Josh Dobbs, here he is, just lighting it up. So, I mean, even some of us just make mistakes. I just got to learn from him sometimes. Just kind of just go after any quarterback. That's why I went after DeVito. Everyone says he sucks. Maybe he figures it out. I don't know.
100% right. In best ball leagues, I go after any quarterback who's starting. But in these lineup leagues, I'm with you, Eric. Like, I've seen Josh Dobbs. He sucked for years. Why would I go pick him up? And all of a sudden, you're looking at it, and it's a plus warp option now, even in lineup leagues, a plus a warp option. And you go, fuck. I really should be starting Josh Dobbs in my Superflex spot. Shit, I could have got him for like $3 and fab.
Right, exactly. Over these like Derek Carr types, or guys that have just been terrible for you.
Hey, we had an epiphany last show about undersized prospects, right? Maybe this is the one, right? If a quarterback is starting, throw away your fucking priors and just go pick them up. Now, don't go nuts, okay? Don't blow all your fab, but throw some at it where you're going to have opportunities at these dudes. Because if not, Eric, like, look how many of these guys are getting traded for second-round picks, right?
Right. How many people did it last year with Brock Purdy? Like, no one had seen him play. He hadn't done anything, and now he became the 49er starter. If you just bought him for that $5 a fab, he probably costed. So
when the Seahawks brought in Geno Smith in the offseason, we should have been throwing more money at fucking Geno Smith for our fab budget. And just rolled that out.
Yeah, it was even if you don't Geno like him, and Locke. So
even if you don't like him, just pick him up. You might be able to flip him for draft capital. And if I were to tell you right now, like, how much would you pay if there was a second-round pick just laying in the fab free agent pool? You're like, fuck, I'd blow my entire fab budget.
Yeah, and I got to learn too, like, just some of these running backs that they have a pulse, they're playing, but they really don't matter. Like, if I'm like have nobody to drop in my last two guys are like a Latavius Murray or a Melvin Gordon type, like, oh man, they might have a chance or do something, just fucking cut them. They're not worth anything.
Yep.
So I gotta start learning that. Yep. All right, on to Baltimore now. So quarterbacks right now, obviously Lamar just got his big deal. He's there. Tyler Huntley, they signed. He's on a 1-year deal for the rest of the year. He could move on at the end of the season, but I would bet they bring him back. And then Josh Johnson, he's a free agent at the end of the year. So I think these quarterbacks are pretty much set here for them.
Yeah. The only like switches you'd probably get is in the backups. Potentially, if they find somebody in the 4th, 5th round or whatever that they wanted to bring in for insurance for Lamar that fit what they wanted to do or kind of reminded them of Lamar where they don't have to change their offense a whole lot, then you could see somebody like that.
I keep skipping over the coach and GM. I think those guys are safe. So
those
are good. Running backs. So this one's interesting. So Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins are free agents. I can maybe see them bringing back Gus kind of on the similar deal that they gave him, 2 years, $9 million. I could see them kind of like just bringing him back on that. I don't think the J.K. Dobbins situation is going to work out. I think he's going to be a free agent. They're just going to let him walk. I just think there's too many burn bridges there. Justice Hill, he signed a 2-year deal this offseason, so he'll be there again. And then Keaton Mitchell, obviously, who they got as an undrafted free agent. He is definitely a big part of their offense right now. I think he will stay. They could be in the market to draft another running back during the draft. Could they make a shot at like a Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler type? Sure. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. But this team usually drafts their running backs. They don't really sign too many free agents unless it's their own.
Right. We'll have to see how this market works, too, with running backs being depressed and not getting these big contracts that they thought they were. And maybe they're more in the market for a free agent running back than we've ever thought, because you might get Saquon on the dirt cheap. You might get a Derrick Henry for dirt cheap because nobody else really wants to dive into that market. So I could also see a guy like Josh Jacobs. It just looks right.
Yeah, he looks like he would wear purple for sure.
He wouldn't get to wear number 8, unfortunately. So you'd have to go back to 28 or...
Well, maybe he can have another kid in the offseason, he could be 9.
There you go. Number 9, Josh Jacobs. I can deal with that. He does feel like a running back who would wear purple, right? It gives you that whole Willis McGee.
Yeah, he
vibes.
yeah, and he's an Alabama guy.
Perfect. There we go.
There
Another
it is.
Bama guy.
We said it. Josh Jacobs, the Ravens, book it.
For like, I don't know, $6 million.
Yeah, they'll get him for a cheap deal. Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
I could see something like that.
Yeah. Wide receivers, obviously Zay Flowers is going to be there. Rashad Bateman's still on his rookie deal. He'll be there. Odell Beckham's a free agent. I think he's gone. Duvernay's a free agent. Nelson Aguilar's a free agent. Tylen Wallace is still there for 2 years. They probably just keep him as a cheap body. So they could be in the market here for a wide receiver or draft another one. Do you think they bring back Odell or any of these guys like that? I don't think they will. Yeah.
I don't think they'll bring any of those guys back, and I would implore them to please go after Mike Evans. Please make a run at Mike Evans in free agency.
I wonder, too, if now that they have a new offensive coordinator that throws the ball, would Hollywood Brown entertain coming back here?
Yeah, he might. He might.
Because him and Lamar were good buddies.
Yeah, it didn't sound like they had a whole lot of bad blood, too, that they just kind of knew it was a business decision. And I think Hollywood was actually kind of excited to go to Arizona where it was going to be his show.
Yeah, with Kyler, right.
Yep,
so I could see that as a possibility, too.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that at all.
Okay. And then tight end. So obviously we have 3 guys that they recently drafted. I don't see this room changing. Andrews, who just signed a new deal. Kohler and Likely that they just drafted. They like both of those guys.
Yep.
I think that's that one's pretty much set in stone there.
Yep.
Let's go on to the Cincinnati Bengals. So obviously we know the quarterback, or coach and GM should be the same. I don't see that changing. Quarterback, Joe Burrow obviously just signed that new massive deal. The backup running or quarterback, who knows? They could really just find somebody. I think they really need to draft somebody if they find a guy that they like to be a backup for them. Jake Browning is not it. AJ McCarron, who they brought back, I don't think he's it. So I could see them either signing a free agent quarterback to be a backup or maybe drafting a guy to be a backup.
Yeah, I think they would probably entertain finding somebody out there a little bit more stable to sit behind Joe Burrow.
Right. I'm just going to kind of look at the backup quarterback market, like Jacoby Brissett, Tyrod Taylor, Mariota, Darnold, Jameis, Drew Lock. I think Drew Lock would actually be a good fit there.
That wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
He does a lot of some of the same stuff Joe Burrow does. Kind of have the same build.
Gardner
Obviously
Minshew,
not
too.
as effective,
Right.
but some of the same similarities.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew would be a free agent too, so that would definitely be an interesting one for sure.
They'll end up bringing Easton Stick in just to piss you off.
God, that guy's fucking terrible.
Maybe Logan Woodside. How about
I've
that?
seen some bad quarterback play, but man, Easton. I don't even know if Easton Stick would be in my bottom 5, but he's still not very good.
He's pretty bad. He's pretty bad.
I watched Clayton Tune play a game this year.
Yuck.
Yeah. All right, running backs. So Joe Mixon, he did take that restructure this offseason, so he is pretty much 2 years, 11 and a half. He's kind of locked in for the next 2 years, so I think he is safe this year. But these other guys, man, Chase Brown, they just drafted, hasn't done a thing. Chris Evans, they have for cheap still. Travion Williams is a free agent at the end of the year. I think the running back room might just stay the same, honestly. I don't see them bringing in somebody. I think they kind of just stick with these guys, re-sign Travion for cheap, and move on with it.
It'd be interesting to see if they bring in somebody who fits more of that, kind of what they had with Samaje Perine. More of kind of that pass catch. Not that Joe Mixon's not a pass catcher, so let's just get out there. But I could also see him bringing in somebody who's got a little juice who they could get excited about in that kind of third down role and put Joe Mixon back to be in that first and second down, just hammer. Not that he can't catch passes. I just think they do kind of enjoy that system. And they don't have that luxury this year because these guys behind Joe Mixon are fucking awful. They're horrible.
They're pretty awful.
So it'd be interesting to see maybe like a Devin Singletary type, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Those guys are free agents if they could do it. And the Clyde one would be interesting because he's dead right now. Nobody gives a shit. Everybody hates him. He goes to a place that might actually use him and throws to the running backs on third down. Holy Santa Claus shit. Maybe Clyde's get some life back.
And where did Clyde play in college?
Look at that locker room connection. Shower talk.
Burrow and Chase.
Just saying. Just saying. All right.
It wouldn't shock me.
Listen, I've seen Clyde Edwards-Helaire cut in dynasty leagues. And
yeah, I've cut him in like 1 or 2 leagues where last week he was out, this week or the week before he was on a bye. It's like I just didn't need him, so I needed somebody in a best ball league to make a start for me, hopefully.
If you're out of contention and you can afford to put him on your, well, you can definitely afford to put him on your roster if you're out of contention. Right. But maybe throw a little dart out there for some Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Give somebody a 4th-round pick or some shit like that, right? Mm-hmm. Give somebody who go out and trade for Clyde Edwards-Helaire if he's on a contending team, right? Give him somebody Justice Hill or somebody who's fucking usable.
Okay. Oh, and then to put an end to our Michael Carter saga, the Cardinals have claimed him on waivers.
There we go. So he can go be useless there. That'd be awesome.
Exactly. Now, I'm kind of looking at like what you were talking about with some of these running backs that are like a little bit of pass catchers a little bit that could fit that role. Right. So like Boston Scott, I could see him with the Bengals. God, I could see who's the other one that I was just looking at? Jerick McKinnon. Him being there, that
fits.
Yeah, he could be like the Samaje Perine role. So there's definitely a couple of those types out there. So that'd be interesting.
You know what would make my heart smile?
What's that?
Antonio Gibson.
That would be a really nice one, honestly. I agree with you.
And kind of that Samaje Perine build. Definitely a lot more athletic than Samaje Perine, but he can catch passes. He can do a lot of what Samaje does. And if Mixon were to go down with an injury, you still got that big body guy that you can just turn around and hand the ball off to.
Right. And actually, the more that I think about it with Antonio Gibson, that is the perfect guy right now to go and get as like a throw-in in trades, because that guy next year could have a big role somewhere where somebody knows how to use that skill set a lot better than what it's being used as right now. So if you are trading with an opponent and they have Antonio Gibson, I would try and sneak him into the deal, whatever you can. I agree with that.
Yeah, he's kind of left for dead. I know he had a little bit of a nice moment here this last week, but we've poured one out for Antonio Gibson. So, but that's a guy.
Yeah, we're pouring it out, and hopefully we put the water back in the bottle once he gets on a new team.
You're getting him for like a third or less in value type, just generic value. And this is a dude who he signs in the right spot, and he has a role next year. All of a sudden, you're going, "Oh shit, he's worth 2 seconds." Easily.
Right. Yeah, like you said, he ends up with the Bengals as their like 3rd down back. Absolutely.
That's not the worst thing. You know, when I say I don't want running backs on tanking teams, I will take running backs who aren't doing shit this year on tanking, who could explode into a role next year.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of thought the same about DeAndre Swift at the end of last year, that he was dead. He can only carry the ball 11 times a game, and that's it. Then he dies. Now look at him. He's back into the first round type of value again.
Yes, sir.
Wide receivers here. So obviously Jamar Chase, he's going to want a monster deal this offseason. I wouldn't be surprised if he even like holds out a little bit till he gets a monster deal, because now they have Burrow done. T. Higgins is a free agent. They're going to want to get him re-signed as well. I bet if anything, he gets franchise tagged. I did have the thought too of, could he be like an A.J. Brown type trade where whoever's picking, 16, 17, 18, kind of like where the Titans were when they traded A.J. Brown. Could that happen? Could, I don't know, one of those middling teams, could the Vikings say, hey, we'll give you our pick 17 for T. Higgins?
Yeah, I could definitely see it too, depending on where they're at. And who's available on the board. That could definitely be a deal that gets done. Now we just hope it works out better for the Bengals.
Right.
And that player than it has for the Treylon Burks, A.J. Brown trade. But we've seen that before. It worked out okay for the Vikings and Bills when they made that swap. Diggs for what actually became Jefferson. So that worked out for both teams. So I'm with you. I don't mind that. That'd actually be kind of fun. And it'd be cool if they could replace him with like a Keon Coleman. Jamar Chase and Keon Coleman with Joe Burrow. I'd be excited, and they get to hit the reset button a little bit on value and paying a guy, paying a receiver for a few years. So that'd be a good move. I'd actually like that. And then they could still use their own pick for whatever the fuck they want, right? Defense, offensive line.
Offensive line.
Right. Yes.
Big time. They need to fix that. Tyler Boyd, he is a free agent, too, we talked about. excuse me, he could be back here again. I could definitely see that. Hopefully not as big of a contract.
Yeah.
Charlie Jones, Andre Osavis, who they brought in from rookies, those guys are going to be a part of the team. Trent Irwin's like that super productive role player that I think he'll still be on that team. But it'll be interesting to see the Boyd and Higgins one. I think that's the ones I'm going to be looking at for the offseason.
I would probably, if I got a crystal ball it, I would say Tyler Boyd's gone. Some team will pay him too much.
Okay.
And Cincinnati doesn't really want to do that. If they're going to end up getting rid of Higgins, they're definitely probably moving on from Boyd too.
Yeah, I don't think they want to get rid of Higgins. I think they want to keep him around.
Yes, I think it's just going to be too cost prohibitive.
They might have to franchise tag him for 1 year and then figure it out.
Right.
Tight end. So the whole tight end room is going to be gone in the offseason. Irv Smith, Drew Sample, Mitchell Wilcox, Tanner Hudson are all free agents. I could maybe see they bring back like Sample or something for a cheap deal. They'll bring back maybe Hudson because they do like him. I think Irv Smith's definitely gone though.
And kind of like Miami, do we even give a fuck who the tight end really is?
I mean, they use Hayden Hurst quite a bit. They use Uzama quite a bit. So I think the play was right to be in a little bit on Irv Smith this year. He just can't stay fucking healthy. That's
I mean, even Hayden Hurst, right? Like for fantasy purposes, he got you back end tight end 2 territory, which is just fucking gross. Like,
he was a little bit better than that last year. He was kind of like I don't want to say he was Dalton Schultz, but he was like he gave you like almost like Jake Ferguson type production last year.
So he had two top 10 weeks at tight end.
2 top 10 weeks. Okay, I thought it was a lot more than that.
Yeah, with 3 technically. I guess he did hit number 10 one time. So he had 3 top 10 weeks at tight end, which I don't know. In the tight end landscape is just kind of whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, he had a 17.3 regular PPR week, which you really liked, but the other one 10.8 and 11.7.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I've just never been really too inspired about the usage for tight ends. So I think just from a fantasy perspective, everybody goes nuts. I know even me, I was like, I don't like Irv Smith, but this might be the year I'm back in. Like, I'm in on Irv Smith, and you've been disappointed. So I think you just pick up whatever, like, shitter that they roll out there, and you go, okay, you're a tight end on the Bengals offense, kind of like you do with Durham Smythe. You don't really give a shit about Durham Smythe, but the fact that he's on Miami and he has a possibility of scoring a touchdown or 2.
Right. Okay. I'm with you on that. All right, on to this shithole of a franchise, Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson, we know
Don't
that
be
situation.
so hard on yourself.
Situation. DTR, he'll be there. PJ Walker, please be gone. So yeah, nothing there on the quarterback situation. GM and coach. That one is interesting. I think Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski will be back for another season. I think they like to want to keep that continuity. It's not like Stefanski's been like terrible. Like he hasn't been great, but he hasn't been like completely awful either. So I think those two will still stay. They like both of them. And then the quarterback situation is what it is. They're going to have Watson and DTR, and then they'll bring in like a third guy.
Yeah, I'm with you. The quarterback situation will be the same. It'll be Watson, it'll be DTR, and then they'll find somebody else. Like, I didn't even know PJ Walker still played football until this fucking year. So I thought he was.
Well, he was with the Bears as the backup, and he was so awful in the preseason they cut his ass.
Wouldn't even notice. Even have noticed.
That's why your boy
even you and
Scott
there. Went and did that deep dive on fucking teams and PJ Walker. I don't know if you guys skipped over him or you touched him, or as soon as you said the words PJ Walker, my brain turned the fuck off. I didn't even know he was there.
Right. All right, running back. So Chubb, he just had the ACL surgery the other day. I forget which day it was, but he finally had that. They said he will play sometime in 2024, but I don't think he's going to be ready to start the year. Jerome Ford, so that's going to make him more valuable. I still like him. Pierre Strong will still be here. Kareem Hunt is a free agent. I think they let Hunt, maybe they bring back Hunt on another 1-year cheap deal, and keep Ford and Hunt together until Chubb comes back.
Yeah, he's
I can
been
see
serviceable. He knows the system.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that. I also think at least at some point, I know they really like Nick Chubb for the team, right? The fan base likes Nick Chubb. But financially, at some point, maybe they work something out with Nick Chubb. His contract's going to have something happen to it. Whether they release him and then bring him back, but just by cutting him, they can save $12 million. So,
Okay, yeah, I could see them maybe reworking something. Wide receivers for this shithole team. So, Amari Cooper, he'll be there for another season. I'm fine with that. Amari Cooper has been nothing but very, very good. Elijah Moore, he'll be here for another year. They really like him. I'm good with that. Cedric Tillman, they just drafted. He'll be there. They really like David Bell still. They drafted him. He'll be good. These other guys, though, Mike Woods, Marquise Goodwin, Jakeem Grant, I don't see those guys being back with the team, and I don't think it really matters. They could be a team that looks in the draft, but they really like Cedric Tillman, so I think Cedric Tillman's going to kind of get all the opportunity to be the number 2 on this team.
yeah, I think they're kind of up against it with the cap. That's also why I put the whole thing about Nick Chubb out there where they save a little bit of money. And I think if they do, it's because they're trying to replace or beef up a little bit of their defensive production. Their defense has been awesome, but Zadarius Smith's going to end up being a free agent too. So we'll see if maybe they try to work something out with Nick Chubb. That way they can free up money to bring Zadarius Smith back or find a replacement for him. They don't have a first-round draft pick. And then you've seen how hard these offensive line injuries have hit. So maybe they look to beef up that old line with some of their free agent money. I don't think there'll be a lot of changes on the offense as far as skill guys go.
Right. Okay. And then tight end. So Njoku, he signed for 2 more years, so he'll be there. Harrison Bryant is a free agent. I could see them bringing him back on a cheap deal.
Yeah.
Jordan Akins, he signed a 2-year deal this offseason. They could cut him, but he's been serviceable, so I think they're pretty much good on the tight end situation there.
Yeah, I don't see a whole hell of a lot changing with this Cleveland offense as far as outlook goes for next year as well.
Right. All right, on to the final team here in the North. It'll be Pittsburgh. Coach and GM, I don't think those are changing. Those hardly ever change. Quarterback, though.
We hope the offensive coordinator changes.
Yeah, that has to change. That guy has to go. Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, Mason Rudolph. So Rudolph's a free agent. They could bring him back. Trubisky is signed till 2026. And obviously Kenny Pickett's on his rookie deal. Kenny Pickett is not good. Like, I put him almost maybe a step above Mac Jones.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit more safe than Mac. He gets that extra year. I think he's back in 24. So if you want to project quarterbacks for 2024 who's safe, I'd be more apt to have Kenny Pickett on my team heading into 2024 than I am Mac Jones at this point.
And I think his value, though, has cratered. Like,
yeah.
How is it possible to... He probably has like a full 17 games as a starter now, and he still doesn't have a multi-touchdown pass game in his career. How is that even possible?
I don't think it's all Kenny Pickett, too, because I've seen him play well at times, and I've seen him make some really good throws. I think it's also just, we talked a little bit about Matt Canada. A lot of it's the fucking system is god-awful, and they don't want him to really force the ball in, right? He's as bad as Kenny Pickett is playing at times. As far as him putting the ball in danger or making turnovers, he's actually one of the best quarterbacks in the league at not doing that. And crazy to think with those small baby ass hands that he's got, right? Like you think he'd have a lot of fumbles, he'd have a lot of interceptions, and it's not the case. He's just playing really risk adverse, and I think that is the scheme right now.
I mean, he has Pickens, he has Deontay, he has Freiermuth, Najee, Jalen Warren. Like, I just find it impossible to not have a multi-touchdown pass game in 17 games. That's just insane.
So he's only made 11 danger plays all year, like putting the ball where it could have been picked off or putting the ball in harm's way, and that ranks towards the bottom of the league. Bottom of the league in a good way, not like Trevor Lawrence, where a lot of turnovers.
Right. Okay. I just think that's interesting. I don't think they're going to move on from Pickett yet, but I think if Pickett sucks again next year, I think we definitely have the conversation of, okay, let's move on from this guy.
Yeah, he kind of gets that Mac Jones pass, but Mac Jones from last year with Joe Judge and fucking Patricia as his offense coordinator.
Right.
So I think for dynasty purposes, you can feel safe if you can get Kenny Pickett for, what we were talking about with Mac Jones. Somebody wants you to just give a second for Kenny Pickett, a second and a third quarterback, not Josh Dobbs, not like one of these guys we like, but one of these
You can get second and a Gardner Minshew.
Second and a Gardner Minshew, a guy who's got a job right now, right? Second and Tommy DeVito, if that's a thing. A second and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I would go get Kenny Pickett for that because he's going to have work in 24 as a starter.
You'd have to give me a first just to roster Tommy DeVito. I'd make you pay that tax.
Listen, I got Tommy DeVito everywhere on my best ball leagues.
I got him in a couple of leagues too.
He made some lineups too last week. He
made one
running.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Just don't throw the ball, Tommy. Just run it all the time.
Just dump it off to Saquon for me.
Be a shittier Taysom Hill.
All right, running back. So Najee Harris lost his starting job apparently this past week. He's still going to be there.
I hate to hear that too.
Yeah,
Eric,
I mean,
did you look at that? By the way,
what was that?
I end up talking about it on 40 Chess that come out Friday after this show, but he didn't lose his starting job. It wasn't like he was announced a starter over Najee Harris. Jalen Warren was. He was announced a starter. You know who he replaced? Who wasn't announced as a starter? George fucking Pickens, right? Najee was still announced a starter. Najee still went out there and out-touched him. I'm not saying Jalen Warren's bad. We got a great game from him. Najee out-touched him. Nothing really changed in their roles, right? What we saw on Sunday. So I want people to stop losing their fucking mind about Jalen Warren. Just at least say it. They're both trash as far as fantasy goes. No one cares.
I mean, they're startable assets, just as they're RB2s.
Yeah, they're bottom end RB2s.
Yeah,
right?
bottom ends. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both.
So
like
I mean,
two threes.
I think those two guys are still going to be here, and then whoever the
Yeah.
third and fourth running back is, I could care less because they don't use them.
Yeah, no one cares who the third or fourth running back is.
All right. Wide receivers. So obviously Pickens and Deontay will be back. Calvin Austin they drafted. He'll still be there. Allen Robinson is here for another year after this. I wouldn't be shocked if they could they cut him, or is it going to be too much?
I'm looking at how far down this list he is, so that would indicate yes, they can get rid of his ass.
Okay, so I could see Allen Robinson getting cut because I think he's just kind of his NFL career's done. He can't do it anymore.
Jeez, over the cap doesn't even list Allen Robinson on here for 24. So
okay, so yeah, he's probably gone.
oh yeah, there it is. They can save $10 million if they get rid of his ass before as a cut, and it only cost them $2 million against the cap.
All right.
So
okay, well I'm gonna look into my crystal ball right now and say after the fucking season they're gonna give him a pink slip. Here you go. All right, tight ends. Obviously Freiermuth's still gonna be there. Darnell Washington will be good as a right tackle. And then Connor Hayward obviously has ties to Cam Hayward. He'll still be there. So this tight end room is pretty much intact.
You remember when people listen? I bought into this bullshit too in the offseason on Darnell Washington.
All right.
And people were like, yeah, they were doing victory laps because they saw the highlights and him doing fucking practice routes and, how fast he ran and his RAS score and all this shit. And people said he was just a right tackle or a left tackle. You guys all eat shit. And what have we seen him do all year? Just be an extra tackle. Maybe Pittsburgh would be better off if they just officially moved him to.
You know when it all changed? Because everyone thought this left tackle stuff, and he's just a blocker. Right. It all changed in the fucking combine when he made that one crazy catch.
Yeah. And turns out we were right about maybe just being a tackle, huh?
Absolutely.
Because they definitely victory laps till you actually seen him play a fucking real football game in the NFL.
Right, yeah, and he hasn't done a damn thing. Oh, he's going to be the red zone weapon. He's going to have 10 touchdowns.
I bought into the people peddling that fucking horse shit, and I shouldn't have.
Can I get at least one touchdown? Can't even fucking get one.
I literally doing waivers last night, Eric, on best ball teams. I thought about cutting his fucking ass everywhere. And then I go, well, I also roster Brenton Strange for some god-awful reason, so...
Yeah, at least Brenton Strange had a game, though, where you probably made your line.
He did. But, I'm talking 35, 36, 37 roster spots where I look at the waivers and I go, Drew Sample's the best available this week? Fuck.
Yeah. All right, on to Houston now. So obviously their quarterback situation is terrible. They're going to need a new quarterback. I'm just kidding. C.J. Stroud's probably, he's a top 8 quarterback now. He's awesome.
The regime, the coach, and the GM aren't going anywhere, by the way. We can just get that shit out of the way.
They're good. Keenum and Mills are both under contract for next year. I'd probably say they keep these guys all intact, these 3 quarterbacks.
Especially Davis Mills. They might move on from Keenum because they don't really need him anymore, but Davis Mills is going to be there for sure.
Yeah. All right, running back. So obviously Dameon Pierce will still be there. Devin Singletary is a free agent, but I could see them maybe bringing him back for a cheap deal. He just had his best game of the season.
Yep.
Ogunbowale is a free agent. He's like one of their core special teams players. I could see them bringing him back for another 2-year, $3 million deal. And then Mike Boone, he is still here for 2 years. I could see them maybe bringing in a guy in the draft or something like that. But I think the one I want to talk about, though, is Dameon Pierce.
I would be shitting my pants and getting rid of him for whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
This feels like a dude who could be fucking gone in a heartbeat. They don't owe him shit. He hasn't really produced, and Houston has... they are the 4th most in cap space with plenty of guys they can get rid of and save even more money. So,
if they want a new explosive toy, I mean, we went over the list earlier: Pollard, Eckler, Barkley, Jacobs, any of these guys. So yeah, Dameon Pierce. You sell him for any second right now?
Yes, absolutely. I will take 2/3 for Dameon Pierce. If
Interesting. Okay.
He's not doing shit for you right now, right? So you don't need to hold him as a contender. This is a guy that in the middle of the pack or a rebuild too, you would love to get off of. So give me 2/3. I'll take the liquidity. You can have Dameon Pierce.
Okay.
Give me a third. Right. Give me a third and a player. Give me a third and Antonio Gibson. How about that?
Oh, that would be nice. That's actually one I might try.
Give me a third and Clyde Edwards-Helaire on a rebuilder.
Okay, those are good ones for sure.
I don't put any points on my team, and I get a 3rd-round pick.
I agree with that. Wide receivers. Nico Collins will be here for another year, so I like that. Tank Dell's going to be here. Xavier Hutchinson, who they drafted, will be here. John Mechie's still here. Robert Woods did sign a 2-year deal, so he'll be here for another year. Noah Brown, obviously, he's a free agent. I bet they try and keep Noah Brown, or do you think Noah Brown gets a big deal from somebody?
I think he might get a deal somewhere. We saw Cedric Wilson kind of do this in Dallas, where he had some big games and some big moments and then got that contract from Miami, so I could definitely see somebody throwing some money at Noah Brown. And if I'm Houston too, I wouldn't match it. I'd be like, here you go. You can have him for that.
Okay.
You guys fuck out of here.
I can see that. Okay. And then let's look at tight ends here. So Dalton Schultz will be a free agent at the end of the year. I don't know. I mean, Schultz has done pretty decent there.
I say he comes back. I say they pay him and he comes back. Probably in that 10 to 12 million a year range.
Right. And then they'll still have Tegan Quateriano. He was drafted, and Brevin Jordan will still be there. I think they kind of keep this tight end room the same unless they move off from Schultz and maybe bring somebody else in. But those other guys probably stick around just because they're under rookie deals.
I can't see them doing anything splashy unless for some reason that they kind of got in the range where Brock Bowers fell to them with that Cleveland pick. And that's the way they wanted to go. And then that would shake up the whole tight end room where you just go, we let Schultz walk. We're going to roll with Brock Bowers as the new shiny toy for C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, Bowers or Jatavian Sanders, one of those two.
Yeah, Sanders feels more like he'd probably be a second
rounder.
But we've seen crazy shit happen, too, with the tight ends where there's some dudes who end up going in the first round and you're like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Right. All right, on to the Colts now. What do you think about their coach and GM?
Just one quick thing on Houston, too. They also have a massive amount of cap space. And for the wide receivers, this is going to be interesting. They have that Cleveland pick. I could see them we feel really good about Tank Dell right now. We feel good about Nico Collins. I would push a little bit of caution to both of those guys, especially. Robert Woods feels like a guy who could be gone. They could cut him and save some money with that draft pick. Definitely could see them bringing in a wide receiver with C.J. Stroud, really bolstering that offense. And then in the offseason, free agent-wise, even if they don't want to do that or use draft capital on him, Mike Evans, T. Higgins as the number one guy, and all of a sudden Nico Collins doesn't look so rosy, and the role that Tank Dell currently has doesn't feel as great. So just a little bit of caution on those two guys before you go out and try to acquire them. I just traded away Nico Collins. Part of it, too, is you see Noah Brown just having these monster games. And I go, why am I so in on Nico Collins? Maybe it's fucking C.J. Stroud who makes all these guys look really good and not really the wide receiver talent. So
Right. Okay. I can get behind that. Coach and GM for Indy. You think they're safe?
Yeah, I feel like they're safe. I feel like they have a direction and a plan, and they're going to let that plan play out with the Anthony Richardson thing.
Yeah, Chris Ballard has survived like
Regime after regime.
Yeah, and he's made it through, so I think he makes it through one more time.
He's got some dirt or something on Ursa, I believe.
Right. Quarterback, so obviously Anthony Richardson, they're going to be there. Ellinger's still going to be there as like the third guy. Minshew is a free agent, so it'll be interesting to see, can they bring him back on a bigger rookie or free agent quarterback deal. Give him like 2 or 3 years, maybe give him 15 mil, something like that. Give him a pay raise. I think that would be the best for the Colts if they could get Minshew back. But
I think they do
fighting
it
for other teams.
I think they do it kind of like Kansas City used to do with Henny, right? You just give him enough where you don't really let him walk because you need that. You need that kind of insurance, that security. So.
Right. Okay. Running backs now. So obviously Jonathan Taylor just signed a new deal. He's going to be there. Zach Moss is a free agent. This is the end of his rookie deal. Evan Hull they signed or drafted this offseason. Trey Sermon's there. That's whatever. So it's really Zach Moss that we got to talk about. I think they should bring him back, but will they? I don't know.
I don't think with the way the running back market is that a lot of these guys who kind of were found money, free money this year, like Zach Moss, move on to other teams, and these teams can just bring them back at a pretty reasonable rate. So Zach Moss definitely one I could see still being in Indianapolis this time next year.
I could see a guy like Boston Scott, who Shane Steichen is familiar with. Maybe
please
he comes
don't
in.
do that. Just let Boston Scott die, boys. Just let it happen.
Okay.
Let it happen.
All right, wide receivers. So this is an interesting one. So obviously Michael Pittman's the big one. He is a free agent at the end of the season. His rookie deal expires. I think he's played well enough he's got to get one of those big wide receiver deals.
Yes. And I would hope at the wide receiver along with Michael Pittman, they give him a deal and they bring him in some help. Josh Downs is nice. Alec Pierce, we took away his Antoine nickname a long time ago because he's not very good. So bring in somebody else too for Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, they need a number 2. Yeah, they need a solid number 2 there, and they've been trying. Like they were looking at the Judy and Sutton and those types of guys at the trade deadline. So they're definitely going to be looking at the free agent wide receivers this coming off season. So kind of just look at some of those names real quick again. I mean, I don't know if they go after Evans. Like Curtis Samuel seems like a guy that they would sign. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would hate it.
I would absolutely love if they could just play basketball on turf and bring in T. Higgins, and it's T. Higgins and Michael Pittman Jr. and a giant monster quarterback who has some accuracy issues, but let's cure all. Let's cure all by giving you 6'4", 6'5" wide receivers to throw to, and then use Josh Downs in the slot exclusively.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Pierce and Downs will still be here. Ashton Doolin, who got injured this year, he'll be back. Isaiah McKenzie's a free agent. He's gone. He sucks.
See ya. He's terrible.
Jawan Winfrey, he'll be gone too. So,
yep.
It'd be interesting to see what they do here with the wide receivers. Then the tight ends. So they have 5 of them right now. Mo Alley Cox signed another long-term deal. He's back for year 2. I I don't know. Jelani Woods, he'll be back. He's pretty much missed all year. Kylan Granson has been really good this year. Andrew Ogletree has been up and down with injuries, but he's had a couple moments. Will Mallory's even had a couple moments. So I think if anything, they just cut Mo Alley and just keep this same core of four and let them battle it out.
They will save $6 million roughly against the cap and suffer no dead money if they get rid of Mo Alley Cox.
All right, and that's my crystal ball moment. He is gone.
See ya. Adios. Yep. There's a few guys like that on this roster that they can get rid of. They also do have, they're about 8 in cap space for 2024 right now. So they do have money to play with and build around Anthony Richardson, shore up the offensive line a little bit, and make that defense somewhat competent.
Right. Okay. All right, on to Jacksonville. I would say the coach and GM are safe. They're probably going to win the division again. So I think those guys will be safe. Quarterback, obviously Trevor Lawrence and CJ Beathard. Those guys will still be there. Lawrence, I thought this is his third season. He's second year under Doug Peterson. Got him Calvin Ridley. He had Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, ETN. He has some really good weapons, and I really thought Lawrence was going to take that next step this year, and I really thought he was one of those under-the-radar MVP candidates, and it has just not happened this year. He just hasn't taken that step yet.
Right.
I think a guy like C.J. Stroud has overtaken him in dynasty ranks.
Pretty easily.
Yeah, pretty easily. He's still probably at the back end of the top 10 of dynasty quarterbacks right now. He's probably 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there.
Yep.
But are you concerned about him at all, or do you think it's...
I've been concerned. Adam wanted to fight me about 6 weeks ago when I fucking brought it up that I thought Trevor Lawrence should have been playing better with all these weapons and no real changes to the offensive scheme, offense coordinator. I know they did let Press Taylor do some shit, and that has pretty much just fucking ruined Trevor Lawrence in this offense.
Right.
But yeah, I'm pretty highly concerned about him because you drafted him to be this elite stud, right? This Justin Herbert-esque, and he really just hasn't been doing it.
Hasn't done it.
Okay. Maybe if they get rid of Press Taylor, he'll find his magic again, and Doug Peterson goes back to calling plays, or they bring somebody else in next year. But yeah, I think he's too young, still carries that potential for you to push him too far outside of the top 10 in dynasty quarterbacks. But yes, you should have been shitting your pants a few weeks ago. And not trying to fight me, Adam. Damn it.
Are you still okay with holding them, or would you maybe try and trade him? I don't know.
I'll hold him. I'll hold him just because we see how fickle the quote unquote top 10 is. I know somebody a long time ago was telling me all about how hard it is to break into the top 10 of dynasty quarterbacks, and it turns out that person was full of shit because we see C.J. Stroud just all of a sudden boom up to damn near QB4, QB5 for people. Anthony Richardson was up there. Jalen Hurts is a godsend. So yes. There's a possibility for you to climb even higher, right? He's still young enough where that stink isn't on him. So
right.
I'll hold him because I don't think you're going to get comparable value of what he is. I don't think anybody's paying 3 firsts anymore for Trevor Lawrence right now. If you did, though, and you wanted to take him off my hands, by all means, I'll use those first and go try to find somebody else.
Okay. Running backs, I think obviously ETN and Bigsby will still be here. Dearness Johnson's a free agent. I could see them maybe shuffling in another guy in that third spot, or maybe they re-sign Dearness or draft somebody. Wide receivers. So Calvin Ridley is a free agent at the end of the year, correct?
He is a free agent.
Okay. So Calvin Ridley is a free agent. We'll see what they do there. I mean, they obviously traded for him. They didn't really trade that much. I guess it just really depends on the money deal that he's going to want. So that one is interesting to me. He hasn't been completely terrible, but he hasn't been great either.
Yeah, that'd be a hard pass for me if I was Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm not paying him. I'm not paying him 4 years, $80 million or something like that. I'm not doing that.
No, at best I'll give you a Cedric Wilson type deal. I give you $8 million.
Yeah. Then they have Christian Kirk. He'll still be there. He signed that big deal with them. Zay Jones, he'll be back if his legal situation is cleared up, whatever that is. Jamal Agnew's a free agent. I could see them re-signing him just because he's like one of their guys. And any of these other guys are not really anybody I'm really too concerned about. I could see them being in the market to maybe draft somebody too, especially if Ridley is gone.
Yeah, that would be really fun too. Like a Malik Neighbors type. Maybe they get a Roma Dunze, falls that far, which would be tough. Keon Coleman's we've mentioned on this show. It's a good wide receiver class to potentially go out and get that number 2 option right next to Christian Kirk. So letting Calvin Ridley walk and drafting his replacement would be a really prudent move by Jacksonville, in my opinion.
Next guys up would be the tight ends. Evan Ingram. He did sign that new deal before the season. Brenton Strange, Luke Farrell. I think those guys are all the same. They'll be sticking around.
Yep. I could see them all. If anybody was to move, they'd move the 3rd tight end, which really wouldn't matter to us.
Right. I agree with that. All right, last team in this division is going to be the Titans. Let's talk about them. Coach and GM. Obviously, the GM is new. Do you think Vrabel could be on the way out?
Could be. That could be one of the coaching candidates, too. We've heard about this Washington wanting to make a splash for a coaching candidate. Vrabel getting traded to Washington might be a real thing. So we could be looking at a new coaching staff in Tennessee next year, reasonably.
Yeah, I think it's a possibility. I think there's going to definitely be some changes to this team, which we can go through here. Ryan Tannehill, I think he's gone. I think he will be starting for somebody else next year. I could see him going to Atlanta. If Atlanta is this, 8-9, 9-8 team that misses the playoffs or whatever, and they're picking 17, 18, they're not going to be in the position to draft one of these top quarterbacks. So I could see them going after Tannehill with how Arthur Smith and Tannehill did well together a couple years ago.
I can definitely see Ryan Tannehill having a job. I wouldn't be locking in and penciling in as a 24 starter, officially. I think he will start some games, but he also just kind of feels like that guy who's going to go somewhere and be that bridge quarterback for whoever, like the QB3 or QB4.
Yeah, kind of like Andy Dalton's done in the past.
Yeah, kind of more like the Andy Dalton role where when he signs, you're like, okay, and then they draft a quarterback and you go, well, this guy's going to be here and he's going to start 4 or 5 games, and then you find out week 1 they're starting the fucking rookie.
Right. I could see, though, if he went to Atlanta and was the starter over Desmond Ridder and then they let Heineke walk, I could see Tannehill actually doing pretty good there. With those weapons.
I think
offensive line's pretty solid.
I think he would do all right. Unfortunately, the fan base will riot and the city of Atlanta would burn down if that's their quarterback move.
I agree with you 100%, but I could just see that being an Atlanta move, to be honest.
Yes.
We didn't talk about. That's on the next episode. I was going to talk about Arthur Smith, but that's for the Falcons. Will Levis, what have you thought about him so far?
He's played well at times, and then these last couple games he played, he was meh, and then he was bad, bad. Pretty much everything we saw coming out of Kentucky, though, right? He needs time. He still needs refinement. But we see that the tools are definitely there. Can definitely chuck the ball downfield. But this offense is god-awful. It's horrible. It was horrible when Tannehill was running it. For the last 2 years, it's still horrible now. They need a massive, massive, massive overhaul. They need to tear this thing down and just start over. But good news is they have the most cap space in the entire NFL heading into 2024. So a lot of guys will be free agents and off this team, and they have a blank slate to figure out what they want to do. I think Will Levis has showed, at least in the couple games, that you should
try and build around him. Even if the new regime comes in. I think like you said, the GM is new. But if Vrabel's gone, I think then it's kind of going to be when they hire the person, they'll be like, yes, we're going to go with Will Levis. That's who we're going to build around. Are you okay coaching this? Right. All right, running back room. I think it's Tajay Spears, and I think everyone else is gone. Derrick Henry's free agent. I think he's gone. Hassan Haskins, who knows with his legal situation, he could still be there, but he could be gone. Julius Chestnut, Jonathan Ward are all free agents as well. I think those guys are gone. So I think it's just Tajay Spears, and I would assume that they probably either sign somebody cheap like a Devin Singletary or something like that, or they maybe draft one in round, 4 or 5, like they did with Haskins and Tajay Spears the last 2 years.
Yep, I'm with you. I think Tajay is the only one I would project to be there next year. Now, just at least in my opinion, he showed some things, but I'm also not just going to go, pay up for Tajay Spears because I think he's going to be the starting running back in 2024. We see all this wild shit happen with these running backs.
I think at best he's in a committee.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think people will probably get over their skis. I just caution them not to do that, right? Where it's like, this is going to be Tajay's team in 24. Like, you just wait.
100%.
You could be right? You could go out and pay a second plus a player right now, and you could be right. It could be Tajay's team in 24. But you could also just absolutely burn that draft capital because they bring somebody else in, and it's a committee, or even if it's not a committee, maybe at worst case scenario, that guy's getting the work.
Okay. Wide receivers. Other than like the Falcons and the Patriots, this might be one of the worst wide receiver rooms out there. DeAndre Hopkins did sign a 2-year deal with them for $26 million. If they did cut him, what would it be? Would it be okay for them to cut him or no?
Let me look at it here, where he's at sitting here.
Well, while you look for that, Treylon Burks. I think, obviously, he can't stay healthy. I think we got to chalk him up as a bust.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
Him and Jamison Williams, I was a big JMO fan. I think those two we got to chalk up as busts.
Yeah, it's over.
I don't want to say it's over, but like they're trending close to Jalen Reagor territory the way he went.
We had this conversation about a few wide receivers in the offseason. Now, these were guys going into the third years, and there was people who had hope or renewed hope for them. And I had the cautionary tale that we probably shouldn't. Think about where we're going to be at with Treylon next year. I'm telling you, don't. Elijah Moore has been meh at best. Rashad Bateman, again, another third-year wide receiver. If you suck or sucked especially hard in your second year, I don't give a fuck what you think going into the third year. Just get rid of them on any kind of hope. You want to give me a second for Treylon? He is all yours. I will help him pack his shit and get over to your team.
Exactly. I agree 100% with you on that one. Kyle Phillip. Go ahead.
The DeAndre Hopkins, they would eat $7 million in dead money, but they would save $8 million against the cap if they were to get rid of him next year. So, yes, you can get out of DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay, so that's a possibility, especially if they clear house like they're of all the older guys. But I could see him being back too. That's like a 50-50. Kyle Phillips, he'll still be there, rookie. Colton Dow, Kyrus Jackson, two guys that they got cheap. Chris Moore and Westbrook Akine are free agents. I could see them bringing back Westbrook Akine, on another cheap deal. He was only a 1-year, $1.26 million deal, so he was not expensive at all to have this year. So I could see them bringing him back.
Yep. Just kind of some bodies at wide receivers that don't really matter for us in fantasy.
Yep, and then the tight ends, Chig Okonkwo and Josh Wiley, two rookies that they've drafted recently, so those guys are good.
Yep.
I think that kind of stays the same.
Yeah.
All right, on to our final division now. So let's start here with the Los Angeles Chargers. Quarterback, obviously. Oh, well, coach and GM. That's an interesting one. I could see both of those guys getting shit canned.
Yeah, I'm with you.
At least the coach.
If I'm 50-50 on Belichick leaving.
Yeah, if they miss the playoffs again, good Lord.
I'm probably 75-25 on Brandon Staley is gone for sure. So
yeah, I agree.
He's got to turn this around. I'm with you. They got to make the playoffs. And it got a little bit rosier with the Cleveland news today, but still, they still have some work to do to actually get there. So,
even making the playoffs, I don't know if that's going to do it.
Yeah, if they make the playoffs and got their ass handed to them in the first round, the wild card round, I think he'd be gone. Again. Now, if they put up a good showing and they lost a close, tough game or whatever. Maybe.
I mean, especially for being a defensive guru, their defenses have been dog shit.
And with big names, right? Bosa,
Yeah.
Khalil Mack, Derwin James,
Yeah,
Kenneth Murray.
Yeah, that Kenneth Murray has been awful.
Yeah. Well, he played better this year. I'm
Yeah.
now an IDP expert, apparently.
All right, so quarterback situation, Herbert staying the same. Easton Stick's a free agent. Please let him walk and then bring in somebody else, draft somebody, please.
What did he do to you?
I just watched him. I wanted to claw my fucking eyes out.
I don't know. That's fair.
So it's like watching Trace McSorley's fucking brother play. Jesus.
Man, the hate you have for Easton Stick almost matches the hate that I have for Brock Purdy, apparently.
Apparently, yes. Running back, free agents. Both Eckler and Kelly are free agents. And they had like a little bit of a fit on whether to keep Eckler or not. What do you think about this? Do you think they keep Eckler?
Letting him walk would be a mistake.
I think so too.
A massive mistake. I think he's got another year or two in him of this elite production. I know it started off slow. Then when he finally got going, well, I couldn't say finally got going. He just finally got going, but he suffered that high ankle, and we see how that saps you for like 3-4 weeks. So
Yeah.
letting him go is a mistake. This guy is the heartbeat of this offense. This offense looks 10 times better when he's playing, and I don't give a shit who's catching the football.
This one I'm truly 50-50 on whether Eckler would be back. But if this team doesn't have Eckler back, woof. Like, what the hell are they going to do? Because it's not Isaiah Spiller. Elijah Dotson hasn't really even played this year. Josh Kelly's a free agent. He could be gone.
If they are stupid enough to let Austin Eckler go, I pray that he gets him back by signing with the Kansas City Chiefs on a sweetheart deal and just sticks it to this fucking team for the next 2 years.
I could see that. Yeah, that's one going to be to monitor here. We'll have to see how that one goes. Wide receiver. So Keenan Allen, he'll be still there. Mike Williams will still be there. I thought Mike Williams was a free agent.
Ooh, he signed that big deal.
Okay, so he's still there. Okay. Quentin Johnston, who might be going down the Treylon Burks route. Josh Palmer will still be there for another year. Jalen Guyton's a free agent. Darius Davis, who they signed. So it looks like this wide receiver room will still be intact.
Maybe,
for the most part. Do you
They
see
will
any of those guys moving on?
they will save $20 million against the cap if they cut Mike Williams.
Okay, I can definitely see that happening. They could cut him and then try and get him back for cheaper.
They are in the red again, too. They are not looking very good for cap space. They have the third least in the NFL for 24. So guys like Khalil Mack as another potential cut candidate for them. But on offense, Mike Williams. I don't think it'll be Keenan Allen, but they could save $23 million if they could let go of Keenan Allen and hit the reset, which I could really see happening if they get rid of Staley or Clean House in the regime, like all these old guys are.
Right.
Adios.
Yeah, so this is going to be an interesting team. We'll see how the rest of this year works out for them because it could really determine what the hell they do in the future.
You could be a major pivot point, right? If the Chargers looking like they're going to miss the playoffs, everybody who was holding on to Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, these guys could all have new homes next year for sure. So
I mean, at that point too, if that were to happen, I think I go to the C.J. Stroud owner and say, let's do Herbert for Stroud.
right, and keep trade cut like C.J. Stroud more than Justin Herbert apparently. So
Yeah,
the C.J. Stroud owner goes, "Hey, what else you giving me?"
Yeah, that's like whoever's hot that week. Let's bump him up all the way to quarterback 1.
Right,
He's better than Patrick Mahomes now.
might happen. Somebody's gonna drop Josh Allen below C.J. Stroud. It's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, especially I'm surprised it didn't happen after last week. Tight end, so Gerald Everett, free agent. Donald Parham will be back. Stone Smart. So they could be looking at another tight end upgrade. Like I could see if they let Gerald Everett walk, like Mike Gesicki could be really nice here.
Could be.
I'd like to see that one.
I just wish they'd be more consistent using their tight end, right?
Yeah. It's just they have those other weapons. It's too many people.
Well,
to feed.
even when they do, right? Why are we throwing to Stone Smart ever?
Why is he on the fucking field? Unless he's the Darnell Washington of blocking.
I understand the Parham thing because he's 6'8" and he's like a freak a freak athlete. But what do we do with why ever is this guy getting snaps? I don't.
I ask the same thing every week when I look at all these snap shares and all that. All right, Denver Broncos. Coach and GM, I think those guys stay the same. With Sean Payton there. They got their coach, and they're riding that one.
Yeah.
Quarterback, Russell Wilson. What do we do here with Russell Wilson? Is he gone? You don't think he goes?
No. If they were to cut him pre-June 1st, it would be a negative against the cap of $50 million.
Fuck me.
Not happening. And they're already in the red projected for 24 heading in, so that ain't.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson's the quarterback of Denver. Sorry, boys and girls.
Okay. Jarrett Stidham, who they actually gave a big deal to this offseason, too. He'll be back for another year. So that's the quarterback situation for Denver. Looks like it's going to stay the same. Running backs, Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine. Those guys are there till 2025. Jaleel McLaughlin, he's there for a couple more years, obviously, as well. I don't think too much changes in this running back room, but I could see them cutting Perine because they haven't really used him, and Sean Payton loves to have his running backs. He likes to get his guys, so I could definitely see a running back ending up here.
Yeah, another one. He might find another one. Perine, they would save $3 million if they got rid of him. I would like to say that he really likes the way Javonte Williams is running too, but I'm not going to put too much stock in Javonte being there in 24. Like, this could be a situation where they phase him out or just get rid of him, and you're like, what? He played well for him last year.
Right.
Like, I want my dudes.
It wouldn't shock me in round 2 or 3. Here comes Braylon Allen or Rocket Sanders, too.
There you go.
Wouldn't shock me. Wide receiver. So this is a room that I could think could completely change because Judy and Sutton have been rumored to be on the trade block here for like 2 years. I could see both of them ending up being gone or just one of them. We'll have to see on how that works out. Marvin Mims obviously doesn't even get the fucking ball. Tim Patrick, he'll still be there, but he'll be 30 coming off an ACL.
He might not be. They save $10 million if they cut him. Coming off an ACL.
Guess what? Tim Patrick's going.
Crystal ball, Eric.
Here's my crystal ball. He's gone. And any of these other guys, I think they could, these Brandon Johnson, little Jordan Humphrey types, I think they could maybe keep them. Humphrey's a free agent, but they're just depth players at that. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see with Sutton and Judy. Do you think both of them could be gone? One of them?
I think both of them, and I think...
Sutton's got the bigger contract.
He does. They probably wouldn't cut him. They would try to trade him. Judy, kind of the same thing, and just recoup whatever they have. I think both of them could be gone. If I had to put money on it, though, I would say Jerry Judy is definitely gone.
Okay. Interesting. We'll have to see where he ends up. Tight ends, fucking woof. Greg Dulcich still there. He's been off and on injured all year. Adam Troutman is a free agent at the end of the year, but I could see Sean Payton giving him like a 4-year, like $75 million deal. just to fucking keep him. Oh, he's the greatest thing ever.
He's the future.
Could they trade Jerry Judy for Taysom Hill straight up?
Ooh. Oh,
I can
gross.
see that.
But yes.
All right.
Gross, but yes.
Kansas City now. So obviously, coach, GM staying the same. Quarterback, we don't have to worry about that. Mahomes, he's good. Running back. So we talked about Clyde Edwards-Helaire a little bit earlier. He's a free agent. Jerick McKinnon's a free agent. Isaiah Pacheco is there for a couple more years. They're going to have to either re-sign these guys or they're going to have to bring in another guy or two this offseason.
It just feels like this will finally be the time where we get the new crop of Kansas City running backs coming in, right? Mm-hmm. McKinnon hasn't really played that well. Isaiah Pacheco is fine, and they hate Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So they probably just let all these guys go, keep Pacheco for what he does, and then just start to bring in that next crop of, consistent Kansas City running backs, right? Whoever the next Jerick McKinnon guy is going to be.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Wide receivers. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is signed for another year. Kadarius Toney. Oh, I wish they could just get rid of him. He sucks.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling is let's just crystal ball this one. Gone.
Gone. Okay.
Only counts $2 million in dead money, but they save $12 million against the cap if they get rid of MVS.
Yep. He should maybe have his bags packed already.
Get him ready.
Rasheed Rice will be there. Sky Moore will be there, even though Sky Moore is terrible too. McCole Hardman probably walks again. Justin Watson, he'll be back for one more season, it looks like. Justin Ross gone. Richie James gone. So, yeah, they're going to be probably in the hunt for another wide receiver or two. I don't know if it's going to be free agency or the draft. I don't know if they're going to be in play to grab like a Mike Evans or anything like that.
They very well could. They're very middle of the pack right now. They got about $52 million in cap space for 2024, which is
so maybe they will.
They got a fucking cap genius over there because somehow with that Patrick Mahomes and the Chris Jones contract that we just got, they still can go out and offer some, and like I told you, they'll save $10 million if they just get rid of MVS.
Yeah, this team's pretty easy. I mean, Kelce, Noah Gray, those guys will be around. The other tight ends
Unless
are not too worried
Kelce
about.
wins the Super Bowl and rides off into the sunset with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, in Argentina with her running off the stage. If I see that fucking video again, I might hang myself.
Oh, no. Come on.
Jesus Christ.
It's good times there.
Yeah. All right, last team that we're going to talk about today, the Las Vegas Raiders. Coach and GM already got shit canned.
That was fast.
Antonio Pierce is he's done really well as the coach so far. He's won 2 games. I definitely think he is. If I had to put it, I would say it's like 60-40. He's the head coach next year.
Yeah. He just looks like he's ready to be a head coach, right?
Right, yeah, and he's done very well. The team has been behind him. They're fucking sitting in the locker room smoking cigars after they win.
Right, this isn't like Jeff Saturday last year.
Right.
This guy seems competent at head coaching.
Yeah, so I personally would like to see him keep this job. I think he has done a good job so far.
I would like to see it too.
Quarterbacks. So Aiden O'Connell, if Pierce is there, he could definitely still be the guy. I think it kind of depends on how O'Connell plays the rest of the season, though. If he doesn't make any strides, then he's just going to be the backup. Brian Hoyer is still going to be on the team technically, but I think he gets cut. Jimmy Garoppolo, though, what's his contract situation like?
They would actually save some money. It's not a lot. It's about $200,000 if they get rid of him, and then they have to eat $28 million in dead money because thanks a lot, Josh fucking McDaniels.
Yeah, that is going to be an interesting one to see if they keep Garoppolo for one season or if they cut him, trade him, whatever. That is one I don't have a read on quite yet.
He kind of feels like the guy who will be that post June 1st, right? We're talking about moves before the draft and how they do it. They have enough cap space where they may keep his ass on the roster until that post June 1st designation where they can get rid of him, because then they end up saving a lot more on the cap. And it's not as much dead money. So he might be that guy where you're like, shit, he's still on the roster? Didn't they draft somebody? Isn't Aiden O'Connell there? And Jimmy's still on the roster, but they're just going to cut him when it's more financially feasible. Right.
I agree. Running backs. So obviously Josh Jacobs is a free agent. Brandon Bolden's a free agent. Amir Abdullah is a free agent. So those guys are probably all gone. Zamir White... I don't think he's going to be the star. I don't know if he stinks, though. They don't play him. They just give Josh Jacobs like 90% of the work.
Well, he's kind of like Royce Freeman, right? Looked real good in that first preseason game you ever saw from him, and then never to be heard of again.
Pretty much. And I have way too much of him in Dynasty, unfortunately. I think he'll still be on the team, obviously, but starter, I don't think so. They're going to have to either draft somebody or bring somebody in from free agency. That could be, hey, Devin Singletary, you've been a starter before. You're a veteran. You can have the starting job.
Right.
I could see something like that. Wide receivers. So Devontae Adams, there was talks of him at the trade deadline as well. Obviously, he's got a lot of money attached to him. Do you think Devontae Adams stays here, or do you think he's going to get traded?
I think with this new regime and what they want to do, right, even if it's Antonio Pierce that kind of keeps it and goes over, I think they do Devontae a solid and they move him in the offseason.
Okay, so he'll be a New York Jet. Got it.
Sorry, Garrett Wilson.
No, I would love that. Garrett Wilson and Adams together. Holy shit, man.
You know Aaron Rodgers only has eyes for one.
That is true. Jacoby Myers, he signed a nice offseason deal. He got the same deal that Juju got. Raiders are fucking high-fiving themselves over that one, that they chose Jacoby over Juju. Hunter Renfrow, he's still under contract for one more season. I wouldn't be shocked if they tried to trade him. Obviously, it didn't happen at this trade deadline, so maybe they can't trade him. I don't know.
His base salary is so much for you're trading for a Hunter Renfrow at the end of the day, right? Even next year, if somebody trade for him, they got to eat like $11 million. That's what they got to take on. So,
yeah, it's a shame because I actually think he's a good player.
I think he is too, but John Gruden really liked him, and nobody else really seems to like him.
Yeah, I think it's more McDaniels is an idiot.
That too.
Trey Tucker, he'll still be there as a rookie, and then DeAndre Carter is a free agent, and then tight ends. Obviously with Michael Mayer there, he's going to be there. Austin Hooper. Did Austin Hooper get cut? Because he's not even showing up on here.
No, he'd be a free agent.
Okay, he's just not even showing up on this list for some reason. But yeah, Michael Mayer, I think he's obviously going to be locked in. So they have a couple weapons. We'll have to see here what happens with the Raiders.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what these guys do. Fantasy purposes, I think the biggest one for me is Aiden O'Connell, whether or not he can retain a starting job next year.
Yeah, for sure. All right, are we ready for America's favorite game?
It's a clown question, bro.
Yes. Man, and I gotta think of something here. Something just all right, I got one for you. What is your favorite kind of chips?
Ooh, I'm a Doritos dude. This is easy.
Yeah, so am I.
Regular nacho. I'm not a big. I'll eat Cool Ranch, but I'm not a huge Cool Ranch guy. But the regular, the nacho cheese, yeah, they're so versatile.
Those are your good ones. Okay, I'm a Cool Ranch guy, but I like any of them. Like I'll eat the spicy nacho, the regular nacho. I like the taco. Do you remember the Taco Bell ones from back in the day?
Yes.
The Taco Bell ones were great. The new taco ones are they're okay.
You want to know the best thing? And I never thought about this, Eric. It took like somebody at my work here within the last year to tell me, take your Doritos. I watched them do it. I was like, you're a fucking psychopath. And then I watched them do it. I'm like, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Take your Doritos and dip them in salsa. It makes so much sense. But just go get you a jar of Tostinos, whatever the fuck it is, salsa, and just dip your Doritos right in the salsa. It's amazing. I don't know why. I feel like such an idiot.
It's like when I do Mountain Dew and vodka. They just mix together so well, and it goes down like water. It's great. Yeah.
I'll give an honorable mention, though. Like, if I have a choice, they may not have Doritos. I really, really love salt and vinegar kettle cooked chips. Like, that's my... I just love this shit out of them, man. Every time I get Jimmy John's, it's salt and vinegar kettle cooked chips.
I like sour cream and onion chips, too.
Those could be good.
Either Lay's or Utz or whatever. Those are good.
I like the regular ones if I get, like, the sour cream and onion dip, too. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
That's a great combination for me.
Like, pretty much any of the Lay's, like... I also really like Ruffles, too. Even though they're expensive as fuck.
Yeah.
Ruffles are really, really good.
Ruffles are good, but the only time I really eat Ruffles is when I make like a cold meat sandwich.
Okay. Yep.
You put them on the sandwich.
Okay.
Together.
Those are good ones. Yep.
Between the bread and the mayonnaise or Miracle Whip or whatever you want.
Right.
Your meat. And then
we do another good one too that we do is when I do sloppy joes, I put Fritos on them.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
We're getting fancy here.
Yeah.
Welcome to America's game.
Yeah, Fritos are good too. They have the honey barbecue twist. Have you ever had those, the Fritos?
Yeah, I didn't like them as much as like other people did.
The chili cheese ones are good too.
I used to work for a company, and my job was moving vending machines.
Okay.
So when I'd have to take like old vending machines out, it's a free for all, right? You get whatever the fuck is in there. Or when the drivers would come back daily, anything that they had to pull that was expired, and by expired, it's only like a day or two old.
Right.
Who gives a shit? It's free. Just eat it all.
Exactly. Okay. I think those are all good choices. I don't think any egregious ones.
No, they're
You
pretty
didn't,
good.
You didn't tell me like Funyuns or something.
No, I'm not a big Funyuns guy.
Yeah, me either. I have a good Funyun story, but go ahead.
Do bugles count as a chip? Because I do kind of like bugles.
They're okay. I guess you can count them as it.
They're not like I don't think it'd make a top 10 list.
No.
But every now and then I'm like, you know what I haven't had
every once in a while kind of thing.
Pringles? Right. I like Pringles.
Yeah, Pringles are solid.
I always thought that they should like make a fat guy's Pringles, right? With an extra wide can so I can get my fat paw in there.
Oh, that's funny.
But it just makes fun of you every time you pop the top and you're like, I know I'm a fat piece of shit, but Jesus, I'm gonna have to go to the doctor because I got my hand stuck in a fucking chip can. It's stupid. Who designed this?
That's good. I got a funny Funyun story. I'll just tell it. So at our work, they had like one of those suggestion boxes, and this is our store had literally just opened as a store, not that long after. So this guy would come in like every month or whatever it was, and write in the suggestion box, "Hey, can you guys get Funyuns? Can you get Funyuns? Can you get Funyuns?" So after like 4 or 5 months and we still hadn't gotten it in yet, this guy writes in there, "Who do I gotta blow to get some Funyuns around here?" So whenever I think of Funyuns, I always think of that story.
Love it. Love it. But Funyuns are gross, by the way. I'm not a big fan.
Are. I agree.
Pass. Like
All
barbecue chips. I fucking won't do barbecue chips either.
Really?
That's fake barbecue. It tastes disgusting. Like,
there's
sickening.
We have I don't even know if you guys have them down there, but we have a Snyder's brand of barbecue chips.
Oh, we got some Snyders around here.
Okay. There's a Snyder's one. It's like a blue and red and gray bag. I'd have to show you a picture of it, but those are fucking good barbecue chips.
Listen, I'll give anything a try once.
Okay. I'll have to send you the picture.
Don't take that in too literally, though, when you come to the expo next year. Mike, you said you'd do anything once. No, not that. I'll be like Meatloaf. I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that.
I don't even want to give any examples. I'll get us canceled.
You will. But it's fun. I like how we walk the line every single week.
Exactly. I agree.
All
right. Well, yes. All right, guys. That is it for this week. Excuse me. I am at Eric Vanek NFL on Twitter. Follow the show at America's Game Pod. At South Harmon FF on Twitter as well and YouTube. You get the live shows on here. You get this show on there Thursday evenings. 4D Chess Trade Show, the AMAs, all that good stuff. Start Sit Show that we do on Sunday mornings live with me, Mike, and Adam. Every Sunday morning at noon. We're on there for you guys to help with your Start Sit questions. And what else we got? We got the Warp Tool. Make sure we get in the Warp Tool, especially for our trades that we're going to be doing here. That's really helpful. And make sure you're getting, the good Warp Tool. I'm talking
the original.
Yeah, the original, not the great value version.
Yeah, the blue magic, right? Not the blue dog shit.
Yeah, you can put a chokehold on the motherfucker and call it blue dog shit for all I care.
If you know, you know. That's a great movie.
Oh, I love that movie. But yeah, Warp Tool, always good to have. Don't get the great value version. I agree with that. The one that's like the knockoff that kind of looks like it still has the same colors and everything,
right.
But
not as pure.
But not as pure. Yeah, exactly.
Didn't come from Cambodia.
Right. It's like going to Walmart and you got the Kraft macaroni and cheese, or you got the Walmart Great Value macaroni and cheese. The box looks the same, colors are the same, but it's Kraft. It's a name brand. I guarantee it. It's good shit. Yeah, stand behind it. I guarantee it. It's good shit. You don't want that great value stuff. So yeah, check out that Warp Tool. Anything else we got, Mike?
That's all I got, man. We just keep pumping stuff out. I can't wait till we cut off some shorts of this fucking show.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna get roasted on some of our takes, I think, eventually. So, but yeah, that is it for this week's show. We'll do the NFC next week. Should be a lot of fun. There's some interesting ones over there with some coaches getting changed probably at some point and all that. So, yeah, until next week, guys, we will see you later.
See ya.